Chapter 1940. Junior brother, be careful, Qingwan said. Thank you for your concern, senior sister. I will. Before His Majesty and Lord Blood Emperor come out of seclusion, the two of you will be in charge of Dynasty's affairs, Knight Sorrow said as he walked out of the hall. We wish you a triumphant return, Your Highness. The people in the Qing Emperor's palace all saluted Knight Sorrow. Uncles, do you have anything to prepare? Knight Sorrow asked after they left the Qing Emperor's palace. There's nothing to prepare. We'll be ready to kill at any time. We'll listen to Your Highness' command. In the past, Your Highness was able to suppress the Dark Abyss and the Red Emperor's nation. This time, we can also take care of the Celestial Sect, Summer City said. Old man, that's an army battle. There's only the four of us now. Shangguan Hong looked at Summer City with disdain. Tactics with more people and arrangements with fewer people. Let's go back to the 9 grand floors first. I'll make some preparations, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Originally, Knight Sorrow was prepared to fight by himself. Now that Summer City and the others were here, he naturally had to be more prepared. After arriving at the 9 grand floors, Knight Sorrow took out the spatial copper essence and began to refine the formation discs. After 2 hours, 3 teleportation formation discs were refined. Knight Sorrow gave one to each of Summer City. This is for our retreat after the battle. Before the battle, I'll set up a teleportation formation in a safe area. Activate the formation disc and we'll be able to leave instantly and reach the teleportation formation in a safe area. Your Highness, some cities have methods to interfere with the operation of formations. The teleportation formation disc might not work well, Shangguan Hong reminded Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow smiled. I've thought about this before. Important cities will have large-scale arrays set up to interfere with the operation of teleportation arrays and other arrays. However, I have a way to make this interference ineffective. If I discover that the teleportation array is ineffective, I can activate this and cancel out the interference. As he spoke, Knight Sorrow took out a few more lockdown formation discs and gave one to each person. Your Highness, you have a lot of treasures here? Xiandaozi and the others were stunned. Don't worry, there's more. This formation disc is an illusion formation disc. Once it's activated, others won't be able to see us if they don't notice us. Everyone should keep this as a backup. I don't know if it'll come in handy. In addition, this is the most crucial one. It's a life-saving formation disc called the Sky Ceiling Illusion Formation. If we encounter a strong enemy and can't handle it, we can activate this formation disc and throw it out. Then, we can activate the teleportation formation disc and run away. Yi Shang took out 3 of the highest-grade array discs he had refined, the Sky Ceiling Illusionary Killing Array, and handed them to Xia Cheng's trio. Your subordinate knows why the Dark Abyss and the Red Emperor's nation lost so miserably. Your Highness's arrangements are foolproof, Xiandaozi said as he fiddled with the formation discs. Nothing is absolute. Anything can happen, so it's only right to have a backup plan. These 3 bottles are antidote pills. If the situation is too bad, then listen to my signal. If I want to poison you, you'll have to take the antidote first. Although it's a bit unscrupulous, this is war. All means are for victory. Against people like the Celestial Sect, I don't care about the curses of others. Knight Sorrow gave the soul-extinguishing smoke antidote pills to the 3 people from Summer City. Old man, Xiandaozi, the battle hasn't even started yet. Why am I so excited? Shangguan Hong said as he shook his neck. The Celestial Sect will wait for our revenge. Summer City's eyes shone with a cold light. Also, I want to emphasize that if you 3 uncles come with me, then you have to fight according to the agreed tactics. If you're not harmonious and united, something will happen, Knight Sorrow reminded the 3 of them. No problem. If you want to massacre the city, we'll massacre the city. If you want to fight and run, we'll follow behind you, Xiandaozi said. Don't massacre the city. Kill the important people and rob cultivation resources. In other words, rob the city lord's mansion. Fight one battle and change the battlefield. Make them tired and run for their lives. They can't afford it. Knight Sorrow explained his plan. It was the tactic he was best at because he had done it many times before. Then the 4 of them set off. Knight Sorrow also brought Ice Qilin. After a few teleportations, the 4 of them entered the territory of the Celestial Sect. Knight Sorrow took out a map and marked the area of the celestial sect with a number. Uncles, let's play big. The most important cities of the celestial sect are Celestial City and Peerless City. Celestial City isn't as big as Peerless City, but it's the mountain gate and origin of the celestial sect. This place can't be taken without a powerhouse. Let's go and take care of their real resource and cultural center, Peerless City. Knight Sorrow pointed on the map. Okay. Summer City's 3 people nodded. Uncles, you're all sovereigns. It'll be more difficult to sneak in after entering the city. We have to fight as fast as possible. Once we teleport over, we'll start killing and destroying the teleportation formation. Then, we'll rush to the City Lord's mansion. After killing people and robbing resources, we won't linger. We'll set the place on fire and leave, Knight Sorrow said. Summer City's 3 people nodded. Knight Sorrow first went outside the small city and set up a hidden teleportation formation. Then, he met up with the 4 people from Summer City. This small city was 1,000,000 miles away from Peerless City. It was the furthest distance from the teleportation formation. In the evening, Knight Sorrow and Summer City's 3 people arrived at the teleportation formation in this small city. They began teleporting towards Peerless City. As soon as they stepped out of the teleportation formation, someone shouted, "Who are you?" Sovereigns must report to the City Lord's mansion and explain their intentions. I'm here to kill people. Report my ass. Summer City's man waved his hand and slashed. Net Carrot Premier won. The guards of the teleportation formation were also sovereigns. However, they couldn't compare to Summer City's peak sovereigns. They were directly suppressed by Summer City's gravity mystic skill. Dang! Shangguan Hong's long sword was like a poisonous snake. It directly pierced the sovereign's forehead. Xian Daozi also cut down the guards around the teleportation formation. The 3 brothers cooperated very well. They have clones that can send messages. They'll set up a teleportation formation to support us. We don't have much time. Let's go. After removing the teleportation crystal from the teleportation formation, Knight Sorrow destroyed the formation with his spear and flew towards the City Lord's mansion. After Summer City took the sovereign storage ring, he, Xian Daozi, and Shangguan Hong followed behind Knight Sorrow. They realized that Knight Sorrow's speed was terrifying. A 7-star king was actually about the same as them. At this time, Knight Sorrow's body was surrounded by the power of space and time. With the help of the space-time willpower, his speed was extremely fast. When they arrived at the City Lord's mansion, Knight Sorrow first threw out a trap and kill formation disc. He divided the guards into groups. The 4 of them started a massacre. Ice Qilin used the ice sealing domain, completely suppressing the guards below the high-level king level. Uncle Summer, follow me to the warehouse. Uncle Xian Daozi, Uncle Shangguan, kill the important people and steal their storage rings. With a low roar, Knight Sorrow waved his space splitter spear and charged towards the City Lord's mansion. Chapter 1941. The main reason was that Summer City, Xian Daozi, and Shangguan Hong were not ordinary sovereigns. They had cultivated for countless years, and their foundation and strength were far beyond theirs. The guards in the warehouse had high cultivations, but they could not withstand Knight Sorrow's Great Emperor Reincarnation / and Summer City's Universe 7 assassins. After entering the warehouse, Knight Sorrow's soul power exploded, and all the resources and materials were moved into the empty spirit pearl. Summer City collected the storage rings of the people they killed. After moving the materials, Knight Sorrow and Summer City went to the City Lord's mansion again. At this time, Shangguan Hong and Xian Daozi's eyes were bloodshot, and the ground was littered with corpses. Small fries are no fun. Let's kill those with high cultivations in the array, and then rush out, setting fire as we go. Knight Sorrow's body flashed, and he landed on the back of the mystical ice unicorn tiger. Then, he put away the trap array disc, and the space splitter spear kept swinging, attacking the people who rushed up. Summer City's saber kept attacking, and every move was fatal. Shangguan Hong's longsword was as sharp as a poisonous snake. He was also of the fire element, and during the gap in the battle, he released fire energy to set the City Lord's mansion on fire. After Xian Daozi put away the storage rings, he followed Knight Sorrow, Summer City, and Xian Daozi. They killed and rushed out, and at the same time, they kept setting fire. The 4 of them flew very fast. Even if there were reinforcements, they would not be able to catch up so quickly. After a quarter of an hour, the four of them rushed out of the city. Go back and tell Ling Tian that we will fight to the death. Uncles, let's go. Knight Sorrow shouted at the pursuing peerless city guards. He waved at Summer City and activated the teleportation array disk. At this time, the pursuers were still some distance away, so they had enough time to activate the teleportation array disk. Knight Sorrow had just returned to the teleportation array. He left behind when Summer City and the others came back. Haha. It's so comfortable. Peerless City's City Lord's mansion has been picked by us. For countless years, no one has been able to do so, and I don't think anyone has ever thought of doing so. Shangguan Hong laughed loudly. Ling Tian, that old thing, is probably going to vomit blood from anger. Summer City nodded. He was also incomparably carefree. Let's drink and take a break. We'll continue. If we don't torture them to death, then we'll consider ourselves useless. Knight Sorrow took out a few jars of wine and distributed them to everyone. Then, he took out all the resources he had plundered from the City Lord's mansion. Your Highness, what are you doing? Summer City asked. Once the robbery is successful, we'll split the loot on the spot. Uncles, take whatever you need, Knight Sorrow said. I still have a bunch here, Xiandaozi said, pulling out a few storage rings and transferring out the items inside. Take as much as you want. This is just the beginning. Their precious resources should be in the Celestial Sect's headquarters. However, even ordinary resources are extremely valuable. These are worth at least 200,000 Saint Spirit Stones, Knight Sorrow said. Your Highness, we're all alone. It's fine as long as we have enough resources. Your Highness has a world behind him. Just take it, Shangguan Hong said. That's right. We really don't need it. It's not like it's anything good. Xiandaozi waved his hand. Then we'll talk about it later. Let's take a break and go to the second city. Knight Sorrow took the resources and pointed his finger at the map. At this time, in Peerless City, Ling Tian was furious. They had suffered heavy losses this time. Many of their sovereigns were killed, and the City Lord's mansion's resources were plundered clean. Look at Chapter C of S/J version, *Cool Eye Craftsman, Z. Net. Are you sure they're from the Qing Emperor's dynasty? After calming down, Ling Tian looked at the surviving guards of the City Lord's mansion and asked. Yes, this subordinate wasn't from here before. I was just transferred here. Last time, when Sect Master fought with them, this subordinate saw it with my own eyes. This subordinate remembers the masked man very clearly. The guard bowed and described the situation of Yi Shang's group of four. Knight Sorrow, Summer City, Xiandaozi, and the other one should be Shangguan Hong, Ling Tian said through gritted teeth. Sect Master, this shouldn't be the case. That Qing Emperor is severely injured. We don't know the details, but he definitely won't be able to fight for a short period of time. Sandalwood just entered the Sky Master realm, so she shouldn't be making any big moves. Why are these people acting like they're crazy? Elder Jia said. Notify all the cities to be on high alert. Ling Tian let out a breath and passed down an order. Ling Tian was furious. Putting aside the losses this time, the news would spread tomorrow that Matchless City had been plundered, and Celestial Sect had lost all face. Matchless City was actually the most prosperous city of Celestial Sect, and it was the core city. Now, it had been plundered and burned, and it was beyond recognition. Face slapping. This was a ruthless slap to the face. But at this moment, someone came to report to Ling Tian that another city had been attacked. When Ling Tian arrived with his men, this city called Waterjade had already been plundered beyond recognition. The city lord and elders had all been killed, and the resources had been plundered. The city was full of burning buildings. At this moment, Knight Sorrow and Summer City were resting. After resting for a while, they continued to move. In one night, they had plundered 3 cities before the 4 of them rested. They couldn't enter the cities, so they set up tents in the wilderness. Summer City caught wild beasts, and the few of them roasted meat and drank wine. Comfortable. No wonder this old man is living so comfortably. Who could live such a comfortable life? Shangguan Hong looked at Xiandaozi and pointed at Summer City. No pressure. Just focus on fighting. Don't think about anything else. It is indeed comfortable, Xiandaozi said. I'm willing to be comfortable. This time, His Highness is willing to bring you along. Otherwise, You wouldn't have had anything to do, Summer City said to Shang Guanhong. Summer City and the others drank wine and rested while chatting. Night Sorrow looked at the map and sat on it to mark. Your Highness, how far can this battle go? Xian Daozi looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Killing them until they're convinced is unrealistic. At the very least, they'll be so scared that they'll close the teleportation portal and not dare to go out. Also, they'll send out Heaven Master-level puppets to ambush us in the city, Night Sorrow said as he closed the map. Your Highness, that means there's some risk. How about this? We 3 old men will do it. You can go back, Summer City said. He didn't want Night Sorrow to be in danger. No, I have to join the battle. They injured my master. This matter isn't over. If I don't kill them, then I'm afraid I'm useless. Night Sorrow came out to train his heart through battle. How could he go back? After resting for a day, Night Sorrow led Summer City and the others to attack the Celestial Sex cities again. They robbed, killed, set fire, and then ran. Summer City's trio and Night Sorrow's cooperation was very good. After the battle began, they knew what to do without Night Sorrow's command. The 3 of them, who had been stable for many years, were now very scary when they went crazy. The world was shaken. Chapter 1942. Grand. Night Sorrow's wedding was much grander than Sandalwood's wedding. It was not because the Qing Emperor was biased, but because Night Sorrow's circle was wider. The 9 regions world aside, in the world where Night Sorrow came from, he was the realm lord, so he had the highest social status. It was the same in the 9 Clouds world group. He fought for the safety of the 9 Clouds world group, so those who were sensible all remembered Night Sorrow's favor. In the Samsara world, in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow was almost above everyone else. The Qing Emperor had announced that Night Sorrow was in charge of everything in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. In addition to the position of His Highness, he was also the regent. This was because Night Sorrow was not willing to take over the position of emperor. He was willing to be the emperor now. The Crimson Emperor Kingdom originally had a grudge against Yi Shang, but after a few joint battles and the fact that the Crimson Emperor Kingdom was in the wrong, the Crimson Emperor and the others no longer minded. The Li brothers of the Black Fiend Valley were not good at scheming, so they recognized Night Sorrow as their backer. Since they had a chance to get close to him, they naturally had to do something. 3 top forces of the Black-Yellow Great World came, which was incredible in the eyes of practitioners. It was a great honor for the giants to attend the wedding in person. Tang Jianfeng was there for the sake of the Qing Emperor. They were close friends, but the master of the Wu Ling Mountain and the Sea King's Mansion were there because of the Qing Emperor, but mainly because of Night Sorrow. They did not come to Sandalwood's wedding. Night Sorrow would pay a visit to each of his relatives and friends. Yi Shang paid a visit to the VIP building where the Sea King's Palace Master resided. Hai Ling, who was standing beside the Sea King's Palace Master, was stunned. Aren't you a 7-star sovereign king? It's only been 3 years, yet you're already an 8-star sovereign king? If I'm lucky, I'll be able to break through. Night Sorrow pays his respects to the Manor Lord, said Night Sorrow. Linger, don't believe his nonsense. He's not even 160 years old this year, and he's already an 8-star king. Is he just lucky every time? The Sea King Manor's governor said as he glanced at Night Sorrow. The Sea King's Manor Master had a head of loose golden hair, and his eyes were bright and full of vigor. He sat there, giving off a dignified air. Your lordship's words are a little too direct. Night Sorrow did not know how to respond to the Sea Monarch's words. Kid, you were still showing off your abilities 3 years ago, and now you've learned how to be tactful, the Sea King Manor's master said. It's not about being tactful. It's better to be humble in front of the seniors. Do things in a high-profile manner and behave in a low-key manner. Night Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea he had brought and began to brew it. Haha. I like to hear this, and it's also true. A 7-star king can challenge the sky-reaching pavilion, and you're the first person to do so since the formation of the Black-Yellow Great World. You have the right to be proud. Ling said that you don't plan to go again. Such a temperament is rare. The Sea King Manor's master had said it as a joke at first, but now he was seriously sizing up Night Sorrow. I won't go again. One should know when to stop. The Sky and Earth Pavilion has given me a chance, and I'm grateful and grateful. Some opportunities should be given to future generations, Night Sorrow said. All right, with these words, the Sea King's manor will befriend you. If you need anything, just give me a shout. I won't eat your soft jade tendon pill for nothing, the Sea King Manor's master said with a smile. All right. If the Sea King's manor needs any help, I, Knight Sorrow, will do it. I won't delay receiving the message. Knight Sorrow nodded. After chatting with the Sea King Manor's master for a while, Knight Sorrow went to meet the others. The leakless true body. He actually cultivated the leakless true body. After Knight Sorrow left, the Sea King Manor's master exhaled and said, Grandpa, you mean that we can sense his cultivation, but the energy and aura in his body won't leak out at all, right? The loss of energy during a battle is small, which is a great advantage, Hailing said. Yes, it can increase one's combat power, reduce energy consumption, and prevent evil from entering one's body. Most importantly, it's the only way to survive the trials of wind and fire. The Sea King Manor's master said something that Hailing didn't know. Seeing that his granddaughter didn't understand, the Sea King Manor's master explained it in detail. This guy was rumored to have a heavenly artifact, and now he has the leakless true body. Isn't this a disaster? Hailing murmured in a low voice. He won't get into trouble easily now. The main thing is that his momentum has been built. With his current strength, a sovereign is no longer a match for him. It will take some effort for a Sky Master to take him down in an instant. As long as he can't be taken down in an instant, someone will come to his rescue. He's married to Datura, and his master, mistress, and senior brother are all Sky Masters. Who would poke a hornet's nest for no reason? The Sea King Manor's master said. Amazing! When I first met him, I felt that he was not ordinary. Later on, I learned that this guy is terrifyingly powerful. His combat power is strong, his strategy is good, and he does things well, Hailing said. When making friends, we have to put aside the concept of benefits and benefits. We don't want to take advantage of others. He has a body of merit. Being friends with him will invisibly increase one's luck. You'll slowly realize it, the Sea King Manor's master said. Only S5 positive? Edition J. All of them are /H Pirate J8 edition. Hailing nodded. She didn't want their friendship to change. You should also go out and visit some of the seniors. You'll have to travel the world in the future, and having one more friend means one more path, the Sea King Manor chief said. Knight Sorrow felt very tired. There were many guests that he had to visit. He left in the morning and only returned to the Nine Chong building at night. You rascal, I wanted to have a drink with you, but you were nowhere to be seen. Sandalwood and Yi were chatting with Misty Rain in the 9 stories building. I have no choice. Since they're here, I have no choice but to pay them a visit. Some want to drink tea, while others want to drink wine. If I don't find an excuse, I don't know how long the two from Black Fiend Valley will drag me to drink, said Knight Sorrow. The 2 bears of the Black Fiend Valley may not be good at strategizing, but once they've set their minds on something, they'll run all the way to the end without any twists and turns, Misty Rain said with a smile. Haha. Yes, I feel that they're quite straightforward. I also apologize today because I killed Li Ying. But judging from their attitude, I think they've moved on from the past, Knight Sorrow said. That's good. This time, you've completely exposed yourself in front of everyone. Getting to know these people will only bring you benefits. Although some of your things will bring you trouble, as a Sky Master, they can't just smile in front and stab you in the back. Now that they've expressed their goodwill, they won't turn hostile so easily, Misty Rain said. Right now, the Sima residents and Yuan Dao Tian are not making any moves. As for the Thunderfire Heaven Lord, he can do whatever he wants. Since we've already shed all pretense of cordiality, I don't care how hostile they are, Knight Sorrow said. Shed all pretense of cordiality? Misty Rain frowned. Chapter 1943. But the 2 of them came to the Qing Emperor's city. This will make the other party suspicious. Zhan Tan said. Probably not. We fought the Black Fiend Valley until they asked for peace. Now that our Qing Emperor's dynasty is holding a wedding, it is reasonable for the Black Fiend Valley to come and congratulate us. Knight Sorrow shook his head. That's right. This isn't much. The main thing is whether the 2 bears know how to act. If they act well, then the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch will make a mistake and lose the City Lord election. Misty Rain said. After chatting with Misty Rain and Zhan Tan for a while, Night Sorrow arrived at the Heaven Tiger Pass. He wanted to see if Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu were used to it and what the situation was like. After arriving, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu were already cultivating the joint attack array with the team. This meant that they had already integrated into the god-slaying team. After inviting everyone to his wedding wine, Night Sorrow left. Captain is really impressive. He can even marry a heaven master now. Ling Long said to Nan Liue. Haha, this is indeed impressive. I can't help but be impressed. Look at all of them. They all came out at the same time. They are so stupid. Nan Liue said with a smile. Nan Liue was already married to Lei Bao. Ho Jian and Ling Long's relationship was also not bad. It was just that they were still lacking in maturity. After returning to the 9-story tower, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to the Dark City. He wanted to see Datura Datura. During this period of time, he had been investigating the spatial worlds around the Heaven Mystic World and did not see Datura Datura. In the courtyard, Night Sorrow saw Datura Datura. However, there was another lady in a red dress. It was the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. Let me introduce you. This is my future husband, Night Sorrow. This is my good friend, Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. She's the wife of the Sima Manor's manor head, and also a famous big shot, Datura Datura introduced. Night Sorrow greets the Heavenly Monarch. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch. Then, Night Sorrow sat down, and Datura Datura got up to make some tea. You better treat Datura Datura better in the future. Otherwise, I will settle the score with you, Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch said. After that, Datura Datura told Night Sorrow that the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord already knew about the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. She didn't support the Thunderfire Heaven Lord, but her husband had already promised the Thunderfire Heaven Lord and couldn't go back on his words. After chatting for a while, the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord left and went to the Dark Abyss VIP Tower. Night Sorrow and Datura Datura were engaged, and they definitely had something to talk about. It wasn't appropriate for her to continue. After sending off the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord, Datura Datura looked at Night Sorrow. We used to know each other, but our relationship wasn't that good. We were just acquaintances, so I didn't mention this to you. Who knew that she would come? Seems like she still cherishes old friendships. The Sima Manor has someone who supports the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. That person has the same number of people as us. We still have some plans to carry out, so we have to reduce their numbers. We can't do anything about losing the strength of the world of reincarnation. Night Sorrow felt that he still had to kill. If the Feng Tian Manor head, who had the worst character, didn't appear, then he would kill the Dark Heaven Lord first. Okay, but don't kill anyone before our wedding. Datura Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. I forgot to ask Xuanji about the investigation of the General of Wind and Thunder. I don't know what this person's character is like. If it doesn't work, then kill him. The Thunderfire Heaven Lord wants to be the Lord of Reincarnation City. I won't let him get what he wants. Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow chatted with Datura Datura for a while, then returned to the Nine Chong building. Night Sorrow received guests every day. The main reason was that there were more guests, and he couldn't leave anyone out. Some of the sovereigns of the Nine Chong World Group came, and even Sovereign Yuan Ling came. He couldn't afford to offend Night Sorrow. This was an opportunity to resolve and ease the conflict, so he couldn't not come. Sovereign No Beginning and Sovereign Seven Reigns didn't come. Both of them were in seclusion, but the people in charge of the two forces came. Seven Kills King of Endless Mountain came with Black Wind, and Seven Reigns Sovereign's eldest disciple, Floating Flower King, also came. Their master was in seclusion, but they had to come. This way, the difference in etiquette could be minimized. Sovereign Shen Xiao, Sovereign Purple Clouds, Sovereign Shen Tian, and Sovereign Sky Scorpio all came. Yi Qianhua also brought Shang Xi to the Nine Chong building. No matter who it was, those who came to the Nine Chong building were giving face. Night Sorrow received all of them, regardless of whether they had any grudges in the past. Even Night Sorrow's family came out to receive them because Night Sorrow was too busy. There were still 7 days until the official day. Night Sorrow's original body had also broken through, and his space-time willpower entered the 8-star sovereign realm. There was no time to keep up with his cultivation, So Night Sorrow came out of the pagoda of time and space. Senior, there are still a few days until my wedding day. I have to go back. Night Sorrow bowed to the void. A happy man is in high spirits. Your cultivation has broken through, and you have a beauty. As a person, you should be like Night Sorrow. The origin of Samsara Palace appeared and nodded at Night Sorrow with a smile. Senior, thank you for your care. Night Sorrow will remember. Night Sorrow bowed to the origin of Samsara Palace and left. He took the teleportation formation back to the Nine Chong building and merged with his doppelganger. Junior brother seems to be stronger. Looking at Night Sorrow, Jean Tan said. Just today I improved again. My secondary attribute advanced. Night Sorrow said. Double happiness, sure. Jean Tan nodded. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow's main body received the guests and accompanied his family and friends. His clone helped complete the creation of the armor. It was a high-grade king equipment. Cug craftsman Net Carrot Yu. While Night Sorrow was receiving guests, there were people in charge of the defense of the Qing Emperor City. Summer City, Xiandaozi, and Shangguan Hong had brought their shadow guards, as well as the Qing Emperor's Guard and the Imperial City Guard. At this time, anyone causing trouble in the Qing Emperor's city would be arrested. He knew that Night Sorrow didn't like to see deaths. If there were any troublemakers, they would be captured and thrown into the Demon Ceiling Tower, where they would be locked up until they died. However, Night Sorrow didn't know about this, and he didn't ask. There were many heaven pillars in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, and they were all friendly. Anyone who caused trouble would be courting death. As for those below the heaven pillars, the Qing Emperor's Guard and the Imperial City Guard would deal with them directly. On this day, Night Sorrow came back from the VIP tower and saw Bloodthirst and Bloodthirst in the Nine Chong building. The two were there to apologize to Night Sorrow. They now understood why Rowan said not to provoke Night Sorrow, and why Dachura valued Night Sorrow so much. Dachura agreed to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing's marriage proposal. After the engagement, he announced it in the Dark Abyss White Bone Palace. Generals, you're thinking too much. You're soldiers, and so am I. How can there be right and wrong in war? Soldiers value soldiers. This is something I can do, Night Sorrow said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Bloodthirst and Bloodthirst felt relieved. After Night Sorrow married Dachura, they would be in trouble if anyone came looking for trouble with them. At this time, someone came to report to Night Sorrow that the Shenwu Great World and the Zhanwu dynasty had also come to congratulate him. The Qing Emperor had already received them. Chapter 1944. Cool Craftsman on the Net. Wu Feng nodded. Their eyesight was naturally much better than ordinary people. Tai Lin restrained his aura and didn't leak out. This was to prepare for entering the Arch Realm. It was similar to Night Sorrow's leakless true body. As Tai Lin raised his long sword, his aura burst out. Just the aura brought about ripples in all directions. Night Sorrow waved his space splitter spear and released his battle chi to resist the impact of Tai Lin's aura. At this moment, Tai Lin moved. He stomped his feet and slashed at Night Sorrow. It was the spatial slash. Tai Lin was a spatial attribute Heaven Monarch. The broadsword in his hand was a spatial slash. Night Sorrow took a step forward and used his space splitter spear to execute the spatial slash. As the two weapons clashed and the energy clashed, there was a loud explosion. Tai Lin retreated for a distance and then took a step forward. His body shuttled through space and slashed at Night Sorrow's head. Spatial movement technique consummate skill. To be more precise, it was a movement technique consummate skill. It was a consummate skill that could only be created when one had a deep understanding of the spatial laws and will of space. Fortunately, Night Sorrow's spatial laws and intent affected the flow of time around his body. This gave him time to react. Night Sorrow's space splitter spear blocked the path of Tai Lin's broadsword. After the two weapons clashed, Tai Lin retreated again. In fact, he wasn't pushed back. He used the recoil to retreat and then attacked again. It was unpredictable and extremely fast. Tai Lin retreated and then attacked again, slashing with every step. Night Sorrow was in a passive position and could only defend. He didn't even have the chance to attack Tai Lin. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. His soul spirit enveloped the entire battle cage and observed Tai Lin's movements. He studied his movement technique. He felt that this movement technique was very magical. He had spatial attributes and could learn from it. As he observed with his soul power, Knight Sorrow discovered that Tai Lin's protective air shield was the same as his own. They both cut through the air. In addition, when Tai Lin moved, wherever there were soul power fluctuations first, he would move there. His soul power should have locked onto him and then guided him. Knight Sorrow might be in a passive position, but with the soul spirit monitoring and the spatial intent protecting him, Tai Lin's unexpected attack couldn't hurt him. The battle went on for 5 minutes. Tai Lin's attacks became even more violent. His body burst with various types of energy and formed a large-scale attack. It was very similar to the spatial turbulence storm. It was a violent space with spatial energy as the main energy, wind, and thunder energy as support. Feeling the pressure, Knight Sorrow used the will of time and space, and then blocked the suppression of the violent space outside his body. Wu Feng's expression was cold. He was worried for Yi Xiong. Tai Lin's ultimate technique was very powerful. If he continued to develop it, it would become an emperor-level grand momentum of heaven and earth domain. It's nothing. Song Ning loosened his grip on his long sword and gripped it again. His eyes were fixed on the battle inside the battle cage. At this moment, Knight Sorrow's body also began to move. He also took a step forward and his body appeared in another direction. The spectators were very surprised because Knight Sorrow's movement technique was the same as Tai Lin's. It was even faster because Knight Sorrow had the time attribute. With the time attribute, Tai Lin's violent space couldn't suppress Knight Sorrow at all. At this moment, Knight Sorrow's space twisting dragon kill and time shockwave alternated between attacking Tai Lin. Tai Lin's expression turned ugly when his movement technique was broken. Besides his movement technique, his strongest move was the violent space, but it was useless now. Under such circumstances, Tai Lin couldn't hold on anymore. After blocking 2 death-shattering slashes, Knight Sorrow's spear pierced through his forehead. The battle ended. Tai Lin, who Yuan Ji had invited, was killed. Knight Sorrow walked out of the cage. The scene was very quiet. Everyone's impression of Roly-Poly wasn't like this. He wasn't this strong at all. Just now in the cage, Knight Sorrow's defense was very stable. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all. Fu Wu announced Knight Sorrow's victory. The Blood Battle Arena made a big profit because not many people believed in Knight Sorrow. What the hell? If you want to slap someone in the face, find someone stronger, okay? Song Ning stood up with his long sword. One time doesn't mean anything. There's still a long way to go. Yuan Ji stood up and knocked his walking stick on the ground. He then turned and walked outside. Ha, long or not, it's not up to you to decide. Song Ning sneered. What? You think I won't live long? Yuan Ji turned around. Don't piss me off. If you do, we can try, Song Ning said. You dare to threaten me? Yuan Ji was enraged because Song Ning's words had the intention of killing him. What's wrong with threatening you? Complaining. I know you're good at this, but I don't know how you'll be so shameless as to complain, Song Ning said. Yuan Ji's face turned red because Song Ning's words were very rude. Yuan Ji didn't say anything else. His body flashed and he left. If he spoke again, he would lose face. After Yuan Ji left, the battle in the Blood Battle Arena continued. However, it was King's level, so there weren't many people watching. Datura and Ji Dao also walked out of the private room. Fu Wu also handed a storage ring to Knight Sorrow. Don't go. Don't you want to celebrate? You earned a lot. Can't you eat some of it? Seeing Knight Sorrow about to leave, Song Ning and Wu Feng walked to Knight Sorrow's side. Haha, sure. But this is the last time I'll take it, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Knight Sorrow knew that Song Ning had announced him as a guest elder of the Blood Battle Arena. In the future, his battles wouldn't bring much profit to the Blood Battle Arena. It was obviously inappropriate to take 1 million for each battle. He wouldn't take what he didn't deserve. Haha. As for taking it or not, we'll see how it goes, Song Ning said. Let's go. Let's drink first, Wu Feng said. Boss Song, aren't you worried that he'll complain to Lord Battle Emperor after what you did today? Datura asked. I'm worried that he'll complain? Lord Battle Emperor doesn't care about these things. Whoever complains will only prove that they don't have the ability. No one complains about the internal conflicts of the Misty Dynasty unless they make up some random reason, Song Ning said. Then won't it be troublesome if he makes up some random reason? Knight Sorrow was still worried. After all, Yuan Ji was the Grand Elder of the Misty Dynasty. He won't do it easily. If he dares to lie to Lord Battle Emperor, it'll be strange if Lord Battle Emperor doesn't kill him, Songning said. That's good. Knight Sorrow nodded. But you can't underestimate this old man. He's the Grand Elder of the Misty Dynasty. He's strong and has a lot of power. If he can get the Imperial Edict about you, then he must have mentioned you to Lord Battle Emperor. So you have to be careful, Songning said. At that moment, Yuan Ji arrived at the courtyard of the City Lord's mansion and summoned a man in black. Chapter 1945. The skill that Knight Sorrow had strengthened was the Destructive True Dragon spell. The Destructive True Dragon spell had the effect of confinement and could even injure one's soul spirit. It was harmful to the phantom race's innate talent because every phantom doppelganger required energy and soul spirit power to support it. As Knight Sorrow cultivated, Datura watched from the side. Her heart ached because she knew that Knight Sorrow's journey had not been easy. She could not help him and could only accompany Knight Sorrow. After Knight Sorrow finished cultivating, Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and told him her thoughts. She wanted to go to the blood battle stage. Ah Luo, in my heart, your safety is the most important, Knight Sorrow said. I know. It is not a big deal to send a clone to fight. I also believe in myself. Not everyone can threaten my safety. This can also temper myself. Datura's eyes were very determined. Okay, then you go. You have no problem with the soul spirit defense. After I finish this battle, you can have the mysterious yellow armor. Knight Sorrow looked at Datura and said, I am very happy that you want to give me the mysterious yellow armor. However, you don't know that this silk dress I am wearing is a defensive artifact. It is my life battle armor. It is not that easy to break through the defense, Datura said with a smile. She was really happy because Knight Sorrow cared about her in every way. Ah Luo, then I will say one more thing. We have children and a perfect family. We cannot afford to lose them. Knight Sorrow looked at Datura and reminded her before continuing to cultivate the true dragon destruction technique. After standing in front of the loft for a while, Lin Xian smiled and said, How can we lose with such strength? During Knight Sorrow's previous battle, Lin Xian had been watching from the start to the end. Therefore, she was very clear about Knight Sorrow's strength. She was very clear that even if a heaven monarch with extremely strong combat strength appeared, he would only be able to squeeze out Knight Sorrow's hidden strength and potential. It was impossible to kill or defeat him. In the battle with Torch Dragon, Knight Sorrow was indeed injured, but that was the self-explosion of a heaven monarch's artifact. Let alone a heaven monarch, even a half the arc and first the arch would be severely injured. However, not only did Knight Sorrow survive, but he also killed Torch Dragon. This was a demonstration of his strength. After cultivating for a while, Knight Sorrow entered the Haotian godly pagoda after the sky darkened. His original body and clone cultivated together. His original body performed the ultimate skill while his clone was supported by the will of time and space. They attacked under the power of the destructive true dragon spell. Knight Sorrow cultivated in the Haotian divine pagoda for more than half a month, and only one night passed. After dawn, Knight Sorrow exited the Haotian divine pagoda. His original body and clone came out together. Then, his original body kept the Haotian divine pagoda and entered the clone's 8-dragon cauldron. Knight Sorrow walked around the Night Moon Manor while some servants were still tidying up. Hong Yi bought some servants back and continued to renovate some places in the manor. After resting for a day, Knight Sorrow brought Datura, Ji Dao, Hong Yi, and Lan Ning to the blood battle platform in a beast carriage in the evening. Knight Sorrow went to Lin Xian's residence and wanted to ask if Lin Xian was going, but he didn't see her. Lin Xian had already left in advance. Now, she was sitting on the top floor of the blood battle platform's highest pavilion and drinking tea with Song Ning. Young mistress, Knight Sorrow's opponent seems to be very strong. He has many kinds of energy in his body, Song Ning said. Don't worry about Knight Sorrow. It is impossible for anyone below the Emperor realm to defeat him. What was the power of Torch Dragon's self-explosion? What was the level of energy? It was already at the Emperor realm. At that time, Knight Sorrow didn't defend with all his strength. Even under such circumstances, he was still able to withstand it. Therefore, anyone who thinks that they can defeat him must be crazy. Lin Xian explained her analysis. Young mistress, your evaluation of him is very high. Song Ning looked outside the crystal window and said, Cool. Craftsman, network. You forever. Forever hashtag, free of charge. Look at little W said. When he was in the heavenly monarch realm, not to mention you palace lords, even I was inferior to him. If he enters the emperor realm, then the situation of the world will change, Lin Xian said as she looked outside the crystal window. At this moment, Yi Shang had arrived. Knight Sorrow sat in his usual seat. He saw his opponent. It was a young man in his late 20s. One could see a cultivator's potential from their appearance. Being young meant that they had entered the 5th level relatively early and their appearance remained at that age. Some people didn't deliberately control themselves and let nature take its course. For example, Fatty Shen could use energy to modify his body, but this went against the rules. Cultivators didn't care too much about this. No one could say that Yuan Ji's talent was low. Perhaps he wanted to be more dignified and intimidating, so he let nature take its course. Young mistress, you sit here and watch. I'll go down and take a look. If Yuan Ji dares to bet, then I dare to accept. Song Ning stood up and said, You're really digging your own grave. I don't care about you. Do whatever you want. Lin Xian waved her hand. I'll tell Knight Sorrow that he's digging his own grave. Song Ning laughed and left. At this time, in front of the blood battle arena, Fu Wu introduced the two contestants and set the odds. Knight Sorrow's winning streak was already nearing 20. Everyone knew that Knight Sorrow's winning streak was very high. Those who challenged Knight Sorrow were all experts. They were all chosen by the City Lord Residence's Great Elder and the 7 Palace Lords. The odds were 4-1. If Knight Sorrow won 400,000, he could only win 100,000 because his opponent, Li, had no record. Even with such odds, there were many who would win against Knight Sorrow. In the previous battle, Knight Sorrow's battle had been too shocking. It was a display of strength. These cultivators in the blood battle arena even called Knight Sorrow a roly-poly, but their tone was respectful. If others could do what you couldn't do, then you had to give them respect. This was the rule. Kid, are you comfortable in the villa? Do you dare to accept the bet? Yuan Ji, who had been sitting upright all this time, knocked on the ground with his walking stick and stood up. I don't seem to be lacking anything, so it doesn't matter if I bet or not. I won a few million last time and a drifting cloud villa. No. It's now called Night Moon Villa. I'm very satisfied, Knight Sorrow said. In the previous battle, the drifting cloud villa bid 4 million. This time, I'll bet 5 million. Yuan Ji looked at Knight Sorrow with a cold gaze. I already said that there's no drifting cloud villa now, only Night Moon Villa. Also, I'm sorry, but the Night Moon Villa was bestowed by the War Emperor. It's not something that can be measured with Saint Spirit Stones. 5 million Saint Spirit Stones is nothing in my eyes. If you want to take it back, you have to at least pique my interest. Knight Sorrow laughed. In fact, the drifting cloud villa was worth more than 4 million or 5 million Saint Spirit Stones. In the previous battle, Yuan Ji was in a hurry and didn't have any Saint Spirit Stones. Plus, he had confidence in Torch Dragon. Then what do you want? How much do you want? Name your price. Yuan Ji took a deep breath and said, I heard that you have a colored glass sacred bone. Take it out and I'll consider it. Knight Sorrow stated his request, which was also his purpose. You're dreaming. Do you know how valuable a colored glass sacred bone is? Is it something you can covet? Hearing Yi Shang's words, Yuan Ji roared. Yi Shang had crossed the line that he couldn't bear. Chapter 1946. Tran Hung looked at Knight Sorrow carefully and nodded. He was sure that Knight Sorrow had recognized him from Knight Sorrow's surprised expression. Knight Sorrow didn't say anything and just cupped his hands. Tran Hung had his reasons for not revealing his identity. I don't have any special reason for hiding my identity. I just want to have a quiet space. See you at the Twilight Tea House when you come back. Tran Hung's voice sounded in Knight Sorrow's spiritual sea. Knight Sorrow understood what Tran Hung meant. He wanted to have an independent life and live a carefree life. Tran Hung looked at the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder nodded and led the other sect elders to a special position. Seeing that the Grand Elder and the others were in position, Tran Hung waved his right hand with his back facing the everlasting tower. As he waved his arm, the everlasting tower glowed and a beam of energy landed in the middle of the sect elders led by the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder and the other sect elders kept forming seals with their hands. Open! Grand Elder roared and pointed his arm in the direction of the Nirvana Ocean. The beam of energy followed the guidance of the energy on his arm and blasted towards the Nirvana Ocean. Then, a dark hole appeared. Night Sorrow, bring them in and come back alive. Staying alive is more important than anything. Lu Qi, who was standing guard beside the sect elders, said. Yi Shang nodded to Lu Qi. He glanced at the people from the Human Dao Alliance who were standing on the other side of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He waved at the soldiers of the First Army and entered the space-time tunnel in a flash. Night Sorrow entered the space-time tunnel and the other First Army members followed closely behind. After entering the space-time tunnel, Night Sorrow felt a strong push. It was the impact of the energy produced by the everlasting tower. There was no need to fly at all. The pushing force was much stronger than the flying block. After walking in the dark space-time tunnel for 10 minutes, Night Sorrow's eyes lit up and a new world appeared in front of him. With the blood-Qilin evil-slaying spear in hand, Night Sorrow used his soul power to explore the surroundings. In an unfamiliar environment, the first thing to consider was safety. After finding nothing out of the ordinary, Night Sorrow began to size up the new world, which was the reincarnation battlefield. A few days before departure, Night Sorrow had the authority to find the most detailed information. As he was the leader of the 100 Race Alliances team, he had the authority to find the most detailed information. The reincarnation battlefield was the place where the human sovereign of the previous reincarnation had fallen. Back then, the human sovereign had gone through the divine tribulation here, but he had failed. The Demon Wing clan was worried that the human emperor's soul would be reincarnated and recultivated. They wanted to annihilate him completely. Under the leadership of the demon ancestor, they entered the reincarnation battlefield. The 100 Clan Alliance led by the human clan naturally met them head-on. The human sovereign, who had failed to pass the godly annihilation tribulation, struck a blow before he died, severely injuring the demon ancestor, the #1 expert of the Demon Wing clan. Then, the final battle between the Demon Wing clan and the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm broke out. In the end, both sides suffered great losses, and the elites of both sides were almost wiped out. Were there any survivors? It was certain that there were. When the reincarnation cycle alternated, cultivators who hadn't reached the emperor rank wouldn't face any tribulations and could safely survive. Rising up in the new reincarnation cycle was a different matter. In addition, before the cycle of reincarnation, the leaders of both sides had made arrangements. Some cultivators with outstanding talents weren't allowed to enter the Emperor realm. The Grand Elder, King Yawu, and Yen Wushuang weren't allowed to enter the Emperor realm. It was the same for the current 3 Grand Heavens of the Devil-Winged race. They were all seeds left behind by both sides in the previous cycle. In this cycle of reincarnation, he had become a cornerstone. Whether Tran Hung was an outstanding cultivator in the previous cycle of reincarnation was not recorded. Night Sorrow also knew that the current era was the 8th era of reincarnation. The aura of the reincarnation battlefield was very oppressive. Too many experts of the previous cycle of reincarnation had fallen here, which produced the most unpredictable force of fate. Desolation. Some of the ancient trees didn't have many branches and leaves, and rustling sounds could be heard as the wind blew. Occasionally, there would be an illusory energy vortex in the sky. It was the most dangerous void vortex. If one was sucked into it, he would be pulled into the void turbulence and couldn't survive. Night Sorrow was able to enter spatial turbulence, but that was in a relatively stable spatial world. Here. He would definitely die if he entered it. Captain. Zhuadong and the others came behind Night Sorrow and interrupted Night Sorrow's contemplation. Next, we will explore the reincarnation battlefield. If we want to explore it, we will encounter other forces. Therefore, battles are inevitable. All of you, feel the aura of my strength of soul. Remember, no matter what happens, don't resist my strength of soul. Night Sorrow's strength of soul spread out and shrouded the 29 people behind him. Captain, why? White Meng Meng asked in confusion. I Cool W Craftsman T, net are only authentic. The others are % stolen CC version U, let me explain. Captain was trying to save our lives. But something unexpected happened. Captain's strength of soul swept us into his space treasure. Then we ran away. Tian Yu said. He had cooperated with Night Sorrow many times, so he knew Night Sorrow's way of doing things. Night Sorrow smiled at Tian Yu. They understood each other very well and had a tacit understanding. Nothing happened. How could you run away? Flower without words murmured. You are invincible if you are good at saving your own life. What do you know? Tiger Cold looked at Flower without words and said, What do I know? You know nothing. After being choked by Hu Han's words, Hua Wu Yen, the most outstanding monarch of the Spirit Tree clan, retorted. Wu Yen, Tiger Cold is right. We must have a backup plan. I am good at the space-time attribute. If I want to run, the Emperor can't stop me. If the situation is critical, we must run away first and plan later. Of course, don't think it's inappropriate to entrust your lives to me. If there is a danger that I can't run away from, you may not be able to run away either. Also, even if my clone dies, I will fight for a chance for everyone. Night Sorrow said. Captain, that's not what I meant. What I meant was, I don't doubt the captain's decision. Flower without words wasn't good at languages, so he couldn't explain himself. I understand. There are emperors everywhere outside. There are experts and experts everywhere. Us emperors aren't strong enough. This is the place where we emperors compete. It is also the place where we prove ourselves. Scouts, send out clones to investigate. Night Sorrow ordered. Yes. An old sergeant of the First Army and Bai Lingling released their doppelgangers and set off to investigate. Bai Lingling, use our location as a marker and combine the information from the other scout to draw a map. Yi Shang ordered Bai Lingling's true body. Captain, aren't we going to split up? Tiger Cold asked. Chapter 1947. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio, why do you ask so many questions? Can't you just carry out your orders? You are too naive when it comes to understanding war, Long Jin said. Tiger Cold glanced at Long Jin but didn't say anything. As the saying goes, dragons and tigers fight. Tiger Cold, who was born in the Tiger tribe, was not convinced when he entered the First Army and received Long Jin's guidance on the joint attack formation. Since he was not convinced, Long Jin couldn't bear it. They fought once. The two of them were fighting with their true bodies. The heaven-devouring tiger that Hu Han had transformed into was pressed to the ground by the powerful Long Jin's true body. Then, Long Jin's large golden brick smashed a few large bumps on his head, and he no longer dared to provoke Long Jin. Now that Long Jin had spoken, Tiger Cold had to listen. If he didn't, Long Jin might hit him again. Then the team began to move forward. Night Sorrow informed Bai Lingling and the other scout to keep their doppelgangers close to the team, so that they could rescue them in time if there was a battle. Do you think I'm a coward again? Night Sorrow glanced at Bai Lingling, who had doubts in her eyes. Bai Lingling, you are not a coward. You are being cautious to avoid unnecessary losses, Zhuodong explained for Night Sorrow. No matter how many forces enter the First Army, we will have no backup. Without backup, our current strength is crucial. We must avoid some risks. Although we are strong, those who can enter the First Army will not be weak, Night Sorrow looked at Bai Lingling and said. But we believe in your strength. Many people from the Second Army besieged you that day, but you still defeated them, White Meng Meng, who was standing beside Bai Lingling, said. Confidence and fearlessness are necessary. But we can't underestimate any opponent. What if there are recultivators whose souls have been reincarnated? The energy in their bodies is that of an imperial emperor, just like us. However, their realms and combat strength cannot be measured by their ranks. I only hope that after completing this mission, I can bring you back safely, said Night Sorrow. I really haven't thought about this problem. If such a cultivator comes in, it will be a big problem, a big crisis. After hearing Night Sorrow's explanation, White Meng Meng was stunned for a moment because she had never thought about this. The soldiers of the First Army cupped their hands towards Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow had always been concerned about bringing them back safely. In addition, they also admired Night Sorrow for his thoughtfulness. Night Sorrow waved his hand and led everyone forward. After advancing for 10,000 miles, Bai Lingling's expression changed. Captain, I was attacked. It's a humanoid demonic beast, Emperor rank. Everyone, stop moving forward and be on guard. Ling Ling, lead the way. Yishan gave 2 consecutive orders. Bai Lingling guided Night Sorrow as they flew. A distance of less than 30,000 kilometers was only a few breaths of time for the 2 imperial emperors. At this moment, Bai Lingling's clone had transformed into her original body to fight and was in full defense. There was a huge gap between an imperial emperor and an imperial emperor. The difference in energy in the body was huge and she wasn't a match. Night Sorrow took out his blood-Qilin evil punishing spear and used the Emperor Extermination Spear. With Night Sorrow's control of the spear, the demonic beast's attack on Bai Lingling's clone was interrupted and Bai Lingling's crisis was resolved. Die! The demonic beast roared. It held a spear that wasn't a spear and a spear that wasn't a spear. It stabbed towards Night Sorrow's blood-Qilin evil punishing spear. With the collision of energy, Night Sorrow was pushed back. However, the demonic beast was also pushed back a little. With the support of an Imperial Emperor's body's energy, Night Sorrow didn't fall into a disadvantage after blocking an Imperial Emperor's attack. Regroup with the team. Night Sorrow yelled at Bai Lingling. He was worried that more demonic beasts would appear and it would be troublesome. Bai Lingling heard Night Sorrow's order and ran, but her clone didn't. Night Sorrow didn't know what kind of demonic beast the opponent was, but its attack was very fierce. Without the influence of an absolute art, he wasn't a match for it and was at a disadvantage. Don't just watch. Scout the surroundings and see if it has any companions. Night Sorrow yelled at Bai Lingling. I'll go right away. Bai Lingling's clone flashed and left. The nine-tailed fox clan was good at speed and illusion techniques. In the newly formed Heaven Wasteland First Army, she was the best scout. Night Sorrow fought with the demonic beast but didn't use his full strength. Since they might encounter more demonic beasts like this, it was necessary to find out its weakness first. After fighting for 5 minutes, Bai Lingling returned. Captain, scout with all your strength. There are no demonic beasts or opponents within a radius of 50,000 kilometers. There are only our people. You're crazy. How can you scout like this? Don't you know it's dangerous? Night Sorrow scolded. According to the estimation of time, Bai Lingling flew at full speed to scout and didn't pay attention to hiding. I'm just anxious. It seems that Captain is very steady. Let's call the other brothers over. Bai Lingling smiled. She knew that Night Sorrow scolded her for her safety. Bai Lingling, tell us, what's the situation now? Long Jean looked at Bai Lingling and asked anxiously at the First Army's defensive position. Captain is very steady. He didn't use his domain and didn't fall into a disadvantage. I asked him to call everyone over, but he didn't say anything, Bai Lingling said. Then what are we waiting for? Long Jin's body flashed and flew in the direction Bai Lingling came back from. The others followed behind. Night Sorrow didn't use his domain. The dragon-headed man's domain wasn't very good. It was only a level 4 domain. Under Yi Shang's blood-Qilin evil punishing spear's compressed domain and stirred up the momentum of heaven and earth, it was directly torn apart. Night Sorrow wasn't at a disadvantage in this exchange of blows. This was because Night Sorrow had his ultimate techniques. Whether it was the Extermination True Dragon Kill, the Great Emperor Samsara Slash, or the Sky Desolation Nirvana Spear, they could all affect the dragon-headed man's strength. Divide into 6 groups and surround the dragon-headed man. Zhuodong ordered the sergeants of the First Army. Keep an eye out. We may encounter more demonic beasts of unknown races, Night Sorrow shouted. Then he activated his domain and began to suppress the dragon-headed man. It was originally a tie, but after Night Sorrow released his domain, the dragon-headed person was suppressed by Night Sorrow. After suppressing the dragon-headed man, Night Sorrow used his Soul Destruction Slash. Night Sorrow's Soul Destruction Slash had advanced from a soul combat skill to a soul unique skill. The purple crescent blade with a diameter of 3 feet slashed toward the dragon-headed man's head. After the dragon-headed man stabbed with his spear, a halo appeared on his head and blocked Night Sorrow's soul attack. However, the dragon-headed man's soul defense only blocked for a moment. Then his body froze and his soul defense was broken. The crescent blade went through the dragon-headed man's forehead and came out from the back of his head. Night Sorrow took back the crescent blade. Dead. Night Sorrow was stunned. His soul-extinguishing/crescent moon blade contained his soul force. He could feel that the soul-extinguishing slash had cut through the dragon-headed man's divine sea. But wasn't this too simple? Knight Sorrow walked over and pointed at the dragon-headed man's head. Chapter 1948. Unsealed. We need time to deal with this. In the past, we were considering giving the black dragons and flying serpents a way out. However, we can't do that now. This involves bloodline issues and we need to settle it. The Golden Dragon King is currently dealing with this. If the black dragons avoid it and continue with their previous attitude, we will be destroyed, Pu Luo said. We can't drag this out. Once we get the answer we should act. Mo Tianji hasn't done anything yet because she doesn't have the strength and subordinates. If the black dragons and flying serpents are roped in by her, the consequences will be dire. Knight Sorrow said. He was indeed very anxious to know the outcome of the 100 Races Alliance's actions against the black dragons and flying serpents. There should be a result soon. You don't have to worry too much. Pu Luo patted Knight Sorrow's shoulder. He could understand Knight Sorrow's concerns. Wasn't it the same for him? In such a tense and helpless situation, time slipped away bit by bit. This helplessness was shared by both parties. Knight Sorrow was helpless when he couldn't find Mo Tianji's tracks. Mo Tianji was caught like a rat on the street because she didn't have the strength. This made her helpless. The celestial realm wasn't her territory. Once her whereabouts were exposed, it would be a huge crisis. Mo Tianji knew that she was able to escape the first 2 times because of the other party's carelessness. She wouldn't be so lucky next time. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Knight Sorrow had been in the time acceleration for more than 30 years. However, there were no signs of him waking up. Upper Sea, however, Knight Sorrow knew that his epiphany wouldn't last for long. The Grand Elder had come to Ethereal Imperial City once and told Knight Sorrow that the reincarnation battlefield was in conflict with the celestial realm. It would remain stable for a year. After a period of time, the spatial barrier would shatter and the reincarnation battlefield would become an island in the Nirvana Ocean. At that time, there would be violent vibrations, and Knight Sorrow would have to end his epiphany even if he wanted to. After knowing about Knight Sorrow's situation, Pu Luo and the others were very impressed. They were almost certain that Knight Sorrow's strength would increase greatly after coming out of seclusion. It would not be easy for Mo Tianji to deal with him and threaten him. Moreover, what shocked Knight Sorrow was that the 9 Domains world was developing incredibly quickly. The spatial barriers stretched out endlessly, and the surrounding spatial worlds were either fused or shattered. Sky Lord Shen, who walked around the 9 Domain world and told Knight Sorrow's 9 Domain world clone that the current size of the 9 Domain world wasn't much smaller than the 3 great realms of the Chaos Realm. Knight Sorrow knew that the 9 Domain world's development speed was related to his own level. He had merged with many small spatial worlds. Under such circumstances, not only did it develop quickly, but it also contained more opportunities. The spatial worlds originally had resources and high-level opportunities. After being merged with the 9 Domain world, these resources and opportunities would belong to the 9 Domain world. The development of the 9 Domain world was managed by Tai Shuyan, and Tianji Tower's Lin Yuandao, Xiaolon Jun, and the others assisted. Tianjin Tower was also developing rapidly. This was because Domain Lord Knight Sorrow was from Tianji Tower. Tianji Tower's development was very strict, and the direction was strictly controlled. The Assassination Hall was also developing, and similarly, it was strictly controlled. It could even be said that the assassination targets were reviewed repeatedly. Yun Tianlong and Lu Qin had asked Knight Sorrow before, and if Knight Sorrow objected, the Assassination Hall would change its direction. Knight Sorrow's opinion was that the Assassination Hall was also a way to give some helpless and desperate people a chance. Since it existed, then it should continue to exist. If some weak people were humiliated, the Assassination Hall would help them resolve the pain in their hearts. Otherwise, it would be easy for them to go to extremes and become extremely vicious. The structure of the 9 regions world had not changed. The existing powers were still developing and were not suppressed. However, there were differences in the speed of development. For example, in the Grand Pure Domain, apart from the Yun dynasty, the other great dynasties had all declined. The Yun dynasty had Yun Huang, and everyone knew that Yun Huang was the Domain Lord's brother. Knight Sorrow's 9 Domain clone didn't meet many people, and everything was handled by the 9 Domain commander's residence. The three great worlds of the primal chaos realm all had powers enter the nine-domain world. Knight Sorrow didn't object, and let the commander's residents make the arrangements. However, there was one point. No matter who it was, they had to abide by the rules of the nine-domain world. No one from the three great worlds disobeyed this point. They knew that Knight Sorrow was magnanimous, but the order of the nine-domain world couldn't be broken. Some bottom lines couldn't be touched. Angering Knight Sorrow wouldn't end well. Bigger than a fist? No one in the primal chaos realm could compare to Knight Sorrow's fist. One had to know that Knight Sorrow wasn't just the domain lord of the nine-domain world, he was also the domain lord of the primal chaos realm. Knight Sorrow estimated that if the nine-domain world continued to develop like this, it wouldn't be long before the Great World's tribulation arrived. However, he had confidence now. When the Great World's tribulation appeared in the Reincarnation Great World, Xinwu Great World, and Xianhuang Great World, the cultivator with the highest cultivation was a heavenly monarch. Under those circumstances, they could survive the Great World's tribulation. As a peak sovereign emperor, there was no reason why he couldn't handle it. Although Tianyu and Yi Mei came from the celestial realm, they were born in the nine-domain world and had the aura of the nine-domain world. They could fight for the nine-domain world. They were part of the nine-domain world. On this day, when Knight Sorrow was cultivating, Fan Tian found Knight Sorrow. Master asked me to tell you that before tomorrow night, the clone will shake the soul and awaken the original body. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that the reincarnation battlefield was going to be unstable. Otherwise, King Yawu wouldn't have made such a notice. Junior brother, this is a pity. Being interrupted by the spatial tremor will have a bad effect on you. It can even be said that the momentum of heaven and earth that you have already comprehended will be disrupted. If you stop it yourself, there won't be such a drawback. Fan Tian looked at Knight Sorrow and said, "The epiphany took too long. I'm also looking forward to what level I'll be at after this epiphany ends." Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Fan Tian patted Knight Sorrow's shoulder. He knew that this was Knight Sorrow. Some things were understated. In fact, the loss of interrupting the epiphany was too great. Haha, senior brother. My epiphany is over. I haven't shaken the soul yet. Knight Sorrow laughed out loud. The aura on Knight Sorrow's body began to change, and his aura became stronger and stronger. Fan Tian's mouth was wide open. He was sure that Knight Sorrow's original body had naturally ended his epiphany. Knight Sorrow had been talking to him the entire time, but there were no soul fluctuations, so he didn't wake up his original body. The natural end of the epiphany was completely different from forcefully interrupting it. The natural end of the epiphany was to perfectly comprehend a certain direction of the momentum of heaven and earth. Interrupting, to put it bluntly, was giving up halfway. He had gained something, but he still had to continue comprehending this path in the future. One day later, Knight Sorrow would naturally end his epiphany at the crucial moment. This made Fan Tian have no choice but to say that Knight Sorrow's luck was good. Looking at Knight Sorrow, who was sitting cross-legged, his aura continued to rise. Fan Tian's heart was filled with envy and happiness. He was happy for Knight Sorrow. Speak. Chapter 1949. Unsealed. The change in Knight Sorrow's aura naturally couldn't be hidden from the Humanitarian League experts in the Night Moon Villa. They all came to the waterside pavilion, where Knight Sorrow was meditating. "Didn't you say there was one more day? It's a pity that the epiphany was forcefully interrupted," Ruixi said. Fan Tian received King Yawu's message and told Lin Piaomiao, Great Demon King, Pu Luo and the others. Everyone felt helpless. "Who told you that it was forcefully interrupted?" "Junior brother's epiphany ended as soon as I finished speaking. I have to say that this is the blessing of the heavens," Fan Tian said. "That's possible?" Ruixi's face was filled with shock. The others were the same. This was good news. After the epiphany ended perfectly, there was no need to walk the path of enlightenment anymore. "To our cool. Don't speak." Yu Zhu glanced at Ruixi. At this moment, Knight Sorrow's aura was still rising. First, it was the destruction aura, which directly reached the peak of a six-star king. Next, the space-time momentum of heaven and earth appeared. The mysterious aura wrapped around Knight Sorrow. The space-time momentum of heaven and earth started to rise from the early stage of a six-star emperor and stopped at 67%. Then, the momentum of heaven and earth changed again. It was the void attribute momentum of heaven and earth. Then his aura rose. Early stage, middle stage, peak of a 6-star emperor. Under everyone's anticipation, Knight Sorrow's body shook violently. His aura was completely different from before. Level 7 Emperor. The void attribute momentum of heaven and earth entered 70% and then stabilized. Lin Piaomiao waved her hand. Although Knight Sorrow had just become a 7-star emperor, he was on a completely different level from a 6-star emperor. One was an emperor while the other was an emperor. Then, the death intent of heaven and earth appeared on Knight Sorrow's body. This time, Knight Sorrow mainly comprehended the void and destruction intent. However, his space-time and death intent had also improved a lot. This was the law of heaven and earth. The death intent of heaven and earth increased a lot more than the space-time momentum of heaven and earth. It directly broke through 10% and reached the level of a 2-star emperor. Several types of worldly powers rolled around Knight Sorrow's body. Then they expanded and merged into a domain. No one disturbed Knight Sorrow. Since the main body had advanced, the clone would also need to undergo a transition. Everyone just waited at the side. A day later, Knight Sorrow stood up. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Indeed, I've waited for a long time. Tell me yourself. How should we celebrate such a joyous occasion? The great Demon King asked Knight Sorrow. Whatever you say, we'll do it. Knight Sorrow was also in a good mood. With a supreme attribute emperor, he wouldn't have to run if he saw Mo Tianji again. Knight Sorrow arranged for the servants to book the best banquet in the ethereal empire. Knight Sorrow, your nothingness attribute has surpassed the space-time attribute. This is very rare. Pu Luo said. My main attribute is the void attribute, and the space attribute is my talent. The space-time attribute is the fusion of the talent attribute and the time attribute. To be honest, the void attribute is the most suitable for me, Knight Sorrow explained to Pu Luo. Very good. You're finally the leader of the Humanitarian League. You're finally something. An Emperor Realm leader isn't enough, the Great Demon King said. Knight Sorrow smiled. He was truly happy. In the reincarnation battlefield, Knight Sorrow's main body, who had just finished his enlightenment, met up with King Yiwu. Very good. Your master will be very happy to know about this. King Yiwu was also very excited to see Knight Sorrow's new realm. Knight Sorrow was too young. Even if he didn't advance by leaps and bounds, it was natural for him to have great achievements if he advanced step by step. There was a threshold from Emperor Realm to Emperor Realm. It wasn't easy to cross it. As long as he crossed it, he could rely on time to improve. Martial Uncle, you've worked hard for the past year. Knight Sorrow bowed to King Yiwu. That's nothing. The space here is going to become unstable soon. Let's go back. King Yiwu nodded at Knight Sorrow. He waved his left hand and cut open the space barrier. He brought Knight Sorrow back to the sky above the Nirvana Ocean and started flying. When Knight Sorrow returned to the Heaven Wasteland City, he saw a group of people standing in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The leader was the City Lord of the Heaven Wasteland City, the Elders of the 100 Races, and the assembled Heaven Wasteland Army. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow understood that they were welcoming the return of the human Emperor Skeleton. In the previous reincarnation, the human Emperor had protected the peace of the celestial realm. He was a sage of the human race. Now that the skeleton had returned, the ceremony naturally had to be grand. When they arrived in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Knight Sorrow took out the human Emperor's seal and took out the human Emperor's skeleton. Knight Sorrow kept the skeleton standing. Why? Because the human Emperor's gaze and aura looked down on the world. He had been standing proudly on Broken Sky Mountain for 8 eras. This was the pride and arrogance of the human Emperor. Knight Sorrow kept the human Emperor's skeleton wrapped in the power of merit. Everyone bowed in greeting. They were waiting here for the return of Run Huang's skeleton. Knight Sorrow, we will send the human Emperor to the 100 Races Sacrificial Tower. In the future, the human race and the 100 Races will worship him, said the City Lord of the Heaven Wasteland City. Under the City Lord's lead and the Elders of the 100 Races, Knight Sorrow placed the human Emperor's skeleton on the tower beside the Heaven Wasteland Tower. That was the sacrificial tower of the 100 Races. Knight Sorrow placed the human Emperor's skeleton in the middle of the top floor of the sacrificial tower. After placing the human Emperor's skeleton, Knight Sorrow turned around and knelt on one knee to worship a statue. The statue was very important to him. It was the statue of the human race's unparalleled sword emperor, Yan Wushuang. This is our mistake. Back then, your master's body was destroyed by the God-destroying tribulation. He didn't want to use the possession method to be reborn. He wanted to severely injure the demon-winged race before his soul was reincarnated. He did it. Don't blame others for this. I, King Yawu, and the Grand Elder were all in seclusion back then. After we came out, we went to a fortune teller for divination, but nothing was clear. After building this statue, I used the power of destiny to support it. If there is a fragment of your master's soul, it will return, said the City Lord. City Lord, you worry too much. I don't blame anyone. I just feel that my master is a bit miserable. Some people misunderstood him and thought that he was a sinner. Who can understand the pain of burning one's soul for countless years? Night Sorrow said in a low voice. He knew why the divination result was not clear. Yan Wushuang had trapped Mo Tianji, and Mo Tianji had a treasure that could interfere with divination. There is a public opinion. If your master was flawed, the statue wouldn't be here, said the City Lord. Night Sorrow understands. Night Sorrow nodded. You didn't inherit your master's legacy, but you inherited his ambition. He is the pride of the human race and even the 100 Races Alliance. So are you, said the City Lord to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow will continue to work hard. Night Sorrow nodded. He was comforted because not most people understood Yan Wushuang. By the way, you have become an emperor, so you should have an official title. The Heaven Wasteland Tower can give you a title. Because of the high energy consumption, the 100 Races Alliance has a rule that only emperors can enter to get an official title. You can try. The City Lord sized up Night Sorrow and said, Speak. Second update. Let's talk about the physical book. Becoming a god with all Tao is not complete. It is still in serialization. Xu Shizi is still writing, but only the first part has been printed. Buying the first book now or the first 8 books will not affect the purchase later. After this book is finished, all the later books will be printed. By then, you can buy as many books as you need. Chapter 1950. All the high-level cultivators in the Celestial Realm knew that the Infinite Wasteland Tower could grant them a title, but it was not easy. First, they had to be cultivators working for the Infinite Wasteland City, and second, they had to be emperors. Night Sorrow had never thought about being granted a title. He had been granted a title in the 9-domain world before, but that was not the case. Night Sorrow did not think much of it, because he was confident. His confidence was more important than anything else. A title was just a title. Okay, I'll try it later. Night Sorrow nodded. Anytime. The Infinite Wasteland City Lord nodded. He admired Night Sorrow's temperament. Lord City Lord, Grand Elder, the Infinite Wasteland Halberd is mine, right? Night Sorrow said to the Infinite Wasteland City Lord and the Grand Elder. We said we'll give it to you, so of course we'll give it to you. We won't go back on our words. The Grand Elder said with a smile. He knew that Night Sorrow did not trust the Assembly of Elders very much because of Bai Chuyuan. It's not a good thing that you have so many weapons. King Yawu looked at Night Sorrow and said, Uncle, can the 2 weapons on my back be combined? Night Sorrow looked at King Yawu and asked, You don't take the Demon Wing Clan's divine weapon seriously. Okay, I'll show it to you later. King Yawu nodded. Night Sorrow returned to his mansion after parting with the Infinite Wasteland City Lord and the Grand Elder. He then took out the Infinite Wasteland Halberd and performed the new spear art that he had learned over the past year. Using the Infinite Wasteland Halberd to perform the Domain Tremor and Wave art was completely different from using the Blood Qilin Evil Slaying Spear. The Infinite Wasteland Halberd was extremely heavy and carried an aura that could destroy everything. When using the Infinite Wasteland Halberd to perform the new spear art, the Domain Tremor and Wave art carried the power of destruction. As Night Sorrow performed the spear art, the space trembled and fluctuated continuously. The tremors and fluctuations carried the power of destruction. The air screamed and cracks appeared in the space. Good spear technique. When Night Sorrow was practicing to the fullest, King Yawu appeared and praised the power of Night Sorrow's new spear art. Night Sorrow put away the Sky Desolation Halberd and invited King Yawu to the waterside pavilion. Then, he brewed a pot of tea. You have your own way of the spear, which is very rare. Many cultivators can't even touch the word way in their lifetime. If you have any ideas about merging weapons, tell me, King Yawu said. Disciple's reincarnation spear was originally the most ordinary dark steel spear used by hunters. It had followed the disciple ever since the disciple learned how to fight, as if it was a part of the disciple's body. The tip of the spear was made with reincarnation stone and has the ability to attack the soul. In addition, the reincarnation spear has been nourished by the origin spirit of the nine-domain world and the origin spirit of the world of reincarnation. It is a man-made origin spirit spear. Knight Sorrow took out the reincarnation spear and touched it before handing it to King Yawu. King Yawu nodded. He was also a spear cultivator and could understand the relationship between Knight Sorrow and the weapon. King Yawu wrapped the reincarnation spear with his soul power and probed it. He understood the reincarnation spear and the key to its preciousness. Then, Knight Sorrow took out the infinite wasteland halberd, but he kept holding it in his hand. He didn't dare to let it go. If the infinite wasteland halberd left his hand, its weight would crush the table and sink into the ground. After telling King Yawu about the infinite wasteland halberd, Knight Sorrow handed it to him. At first, King Yawu casually reached out to grab the infinite wasteland halberd. Then, he tightened his arm and poured energy into the halberd to take it. As expected of a divine weapon of providence. It's not a lie that it's as heavy as a mountain. To be able to wield such a heavy weapon with such ease, its attack power is naturally strong. Being hit by this halberd is no different from being hit by a mountain. Moreover, it's concentrated at one point. The destructive power is definitely strong, King Yawu said as he held the infinite wasteland halberd. King Yawu was shocked. He couldn't imagine how Knight Sorrow had fought with Mo Tianji for a year while carrying such a heavy weapon. Ordinary imperial emperors couldn't lift the infinite wasteland halberd, even if they had the body and energy. King Yawu and Knight Sorrow talked for a while. Both of them had the same idea. They wanted to merge the reincarnation spear with the infinite wasteland halberd and become its core. This way, Knight Sorrow wouldn't lose the feeling of being one with the spear. The reincarnation spear's attack on the soul wouldn't disappear either. After the fusion, it could absorb all the power of the infinite wasteland halberd. King Yawu didn't enter the spatial treasure. He just started refining in Knight Sorrow's mansion. Knight Sorrow watched from the side. If one wanted to perfectly control a weapon, they needed to know the entire process of the weapon's forging and growth. Pu Luo and the others also watched from the side. Pu Luo was an emperor-level blacksmith, but he was still inferior to King Yawu, who was a giant in the celestial realm. He also needed to learn and explore. King Yawu was very careful when refining. It was his first time changing a divine weapon of providence. Fortunately, his cultivation and blacksmithing were high, so it wasn't difficult to refine. After half a month, the reincarnation spear and the infinite wasteland halberd completed the fusion. The outer part was the infinite wasteland halberd, and the core was the reincarnation spear. Fortunately, your soul power helped me carry the infinite wasteland halberd. Otherwise, I would be exhausted in half a month. Take it and try it. King Yawu pointed at the new weapon floating in the air and said to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow's soul power revolved, and the new weapon appeared in his hand. The feeling of being one with the spear was still there, and the domineering aura of the infinite wasteland halberd was rippling in all directions. Knight Sorrow swung his right arm, and the new weapon slashed forward. Hiss! Pa! The new weapon cut the air and made an explosive sound. Then, the destructive power of the infinite wasteland halberd directly rushed out a black hole in the space. Thank you, uncle. Knight Sorrow swung his right arm, and the new weapon fell into the holster on his back. Haha! It looks good. If the Demon Wings clan saw us messing with their weapon of destiny like this, they would probably want to eat us both. King Yawu was also very happy. He and Knight Sorrow both knew another problem. If Knight Sorrow didn't die, the Demon Wings clan would never be able to take back and control this weapon, which meant that the weapon of destiny of the Demon Wings clan would be destroyed. The reincarnation spear and Knight Sorrow were connected by blood. The reincarnation spear and the infinite wasteland halberd were one. During the forging process, Knight Sorrow had fused his essence blood, the power of the soul, and the power of merit into it. In other words, it was not just a divine artifact of fate, but also a new weapon of the origin god artifact. It completely belonged to Knight Sorrow. Head A hair Y, the new weapon looks domineering, but it doesn't have a name. Knight Sorrow, Do you have any ideas? The Grand Elder, who came to watch the refining process, asked. The core is the Reincarnation Spear and the Infinite Wasteland Halberd. How about we call the new weapon Reincarnation Halberd? Knight Sorrow looked at the Grand Elder and King Yawu and asked. Very good. It's realistic and domineering. King Yawu nodded. Since the new weapon has been formed, you should also prepare to go to the Infinite Wasteland Tower to get a title. I wonder what your title of Virtuous Emperor is. The Grand Elder said. Speak. Chapter 1951. There's no need to rush. Martial Uncle must be tired. Let's have dinner here tonight. Knight Sorrow said. Sure. The creation of this reincarnation heavenly halberd is indeed not easy. King Yawu laughed. After bringing King Yawu and Grand Elder to the main hall of the residence, Knight Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. Afterwards, Grand Elder told Knight Sorrow that Pu Luo had asked him about the Black Dragons and Flying Serpent race. Currently, the Golden Dragon King was dealing with it. Don't worry. If the Black Dragons and Flying Serpent race don't give an explanation, the Celestial Realm won't allow them to stay. King Yawu said. After dinner, King Yawu and Grand Elder left the residence. Knight Sorrow couldn't wait to take out the Reincarnation Heavenly Halberd. In the residence's martial arts arena, he began to display his new spear art. The commotion was too big. Pu Luo, Great Demon King, Lin Piaomiao, Yu Zhu, and Rue Si all came out to watch. Fen Tian had returned to the divine capital for some matters. The spear art is tyrannical. Middle-class emperors can't block it. Even high-class emperors can't block it. At the very least, there's no chance of defeating Knight Sorrow. Pu Luo said. Alliance Master's path of growth is one of killing. He has many trump cards. Speed, defense, power, soul attack and defense. He almost has no shortcomings. His domain is also terrifyingly strong. Fighting above his rank is naturally easy. Yu Zhu said. Let's see if Mo Tianji comes to find trouble with Alliance Master again. She'll probably hit a metal plate. Rue Si hugged his shoulders and said. In reality, spear arts and halberd arts were different. Halberd arts had many blocking and strangling techniques. However, Knight Sorrow didn't have any intentions of learning halberd arts. He had power, intent spear arts, and domain vibrations. He was confident that as long as he clashed with the opponent's weapon, he would be able to defeat them. Using blocking and strangling techniques was a complete waste of time. Those were battle techniques that low-level warriors needed to study. Sometimes, I can't help but think that the alliance leader is a demonic beast or a divine beast. His body contains too much power, Yu Zhu said. Let me tell you guys seriously. Our family's Knight Sorrow is a human. He is my husband. You guys have been suspecting that he is a god beast or a demon beast. What's the point of that? Lin Piaomiao was very unhappy. It was a slip of the tongue. Rain Bamboo pouted. I don't reject beast cultivators. I look at them with a tolerant attitude. But, the partner that we share a life with must be a human. Whoever likes beast cultivators can go and look for them. Lin Piaomiao said. Permanent Y, no J Fi and V look carat small. Say K. After Lin Piaomiao finished speaking, the others laughed. Yu Zhu, Sect Elder Lin is not interested in beast cultivation. If you are, you can give it a try, Ruisi said with a smile. F*CK off. Get as far away as you can. Yu Zhu glared at Ruisi. After cultivating for a while, Knight Sorrow swung his hand and the Samsara halberd fell into the holster on his back. When are you going to get a title? Lin Piaomiao asked. Don't worry. It doesn't matter if I get a title or not. Knight Sorrow walked to them and said. How can you not worry? You don't care, but having a powerful title can increase your reputation. In the 100 Races Alliance, experience and reputation are very important. Pu Luo said. The people in the Humanitarian League all had titles. But they didn't mention titles in front of their own people. Pu Luo's title was Sky King of Fists. His fists could fight against the world. In the Celestial Realm, no one could surpass him in fist techniques. Demon King's title was Punishment. He hated evil and punished all evils. Lin Piaomiao's title was War King. Piaomiao was her name. It was also the name of her sword technique and movement technique. Yu Zhu's title was Bamboo Shadow King. She was best at movement techniques. Ruisi's title was Earth-Shattering King. His unique skill was Earth-Shattering Cut. As for Fan Tian, he hadn't gotten a title because he had always been a commander in the Holy Capital. He wasn't from the Heavenly Barren City. He didn't care about that. He could get a title anytime he wanted. Alright. You guys are more anxious than me. I'll sort out my domain and get a title. Night's sorrow didn't dispel everyone's enthusiasm. After one's realm and cultivation increased, the different levels of each attribute would occupy a different portion of the domain. There would be a process of integration. Although it wasn't too difficult, it still required time. Night's sorrow greeted Pu Luo and the others. Then, he returned to the ethereal dynasty with Lin Piaomiao. He planned to stay at home for a while. Although he had the 9 realms doppelganger in the city in the sky, it was still a doppelganger. He could only communicate with his wife on some ordinary matters. Some things couldn't be done without the original body. That was the importance of the original body. Lin Piaomiao's original body also came out of seclusion. At the same time, she called out to Datura Datura. Datura's original body and doppelganger swapped places. His doppelganger continued to cultivate in the Yellow Springs River. His original body, Lin Piaomiao, and Night's Sorrow returned to the city in the sky. Night's Sorrow left his doppelganger in the ethereal dynasty's Night Moon Villa. Under the Dragon Cauldron's time acceleration, he deduced the fusion of domains. Night's Sorrow's original body returned to the city in the sky. His 9 realms doppelganger returned to the Sky Sealing Hall to deduce the fusion of spear arts and domains. After Night's Sorrow's original body returned, the city in the sky was filled with joy. Night's Sorrow saw Yi Lingxia, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Granduncle, I haven't seen you in a long time. Night's Sorrow was very happy to see Yi Lingxia. This was because when Night Moon hadn't appeared in the Tai Ching domain, Yi Lingxia had always taken care of him. It could be said that other than his parents and grandfather, Yi Lingxia was the person who cared about him the most in the Night Moon dynasty. The 9 realms world is developing rapidly. How can I meet people without some strength? Now that I'm king, I can strut around the streets, Yi Lingxia said with a smile. It's nothing. 6th granduncle is young. Actually, the cultivators of the 9 realms world are very young. The longest is 1,000 years or 2,000 years. The probability of entering the king realm in 1,000 years is very high, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I've traveled the world over these years and understood some things. Logically speaking, the cultivators of the 9 realms world shouldn't be advancing so quickly. Everyone's aptitude is good, but it's not to the extent of defying the heavens. But why can we grow? It's because we're in an era where the 9 realms world is about to rise. A great era led by a virtuous emperor. If we can't seize the opportunity, then we're fools, Yi Lingxia said with some emotion. He had never dared to dream of entering the king realm in the past, but now he had reached it. Night's Sorrow, the heavenly Tao is fair. You have contributed to the world, so the heavenly Tao naturally won't let you down. Those who unite by your side will have an invisible boost in luck. This is invisible and untouchable, but the benefits are real, Lin Piaomiao said. I understand. Tonight is our Yi family's family feast. Tomorrow, let's go to the Medicine Valley and see how the Medicine Valley has fused together, Night Sorrow said. Son, ever since you left the 9 realms world to explore, we can't see your cultivation level. Tell me, what's your cultivation level now? Let me be proud, Yu Qing said to her son. Speak. Chapter 1952. Unsealed. Father, Mother, your son entered the Emperor realm by luck a few days ago. Night Sorrow helped Yu Qing to sit down. Emperor realm? Didn't you already become an emperor? How did you enter the Emperor realm by luck? Yu Qing looked at her son with a puzzled expression. Mother, it's not the Emperor realm. It's the Emperor realm. It's beyond the Emperor realm and Monarch realm. Night Sorrow is an incredible expert in the celestial realm. Lin Piaomiao sat down beside Yu Qing. Ah, not the Emperor realm? Yu Qing understood that she had heard wrongly. Lin Piaomiao nodded and explained the difference between the Emperor realm and the Emperor realm to everyone present. In the vast celestial realm, there are only so many Emperor realms. The Piaomiao dynasty, Eastern Hao Mountain and World Edge Pavilion only had one Emperor realm. Now, Night Sorrow is the second. Lin Piaomiao said with a smile. The only emperor realm was her. Lin Piaomiao. You've reached such a high level. Let's drink more tonight to celebrate. Papa Gu said excitedly. Night Sorrow came back. Everyone was very happy and the family banquet was very lively. After the family banquet, Night Sorrow accompanied his parents, Papa Gu and Yi Lingxia, to drink tea. The night in the city in the sky was tranquil. It was far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Night Sorrow especially liked it. The starry sky was especially clean and clear. After spending the night with his wife and having breakfast with his family at dawn, Night Sorrow brought his wife and left the city in the sky. He wanted to walk around. The 9-domain doppelganger had always stayed in the city in the sky. He didn't really go anywhere. This time, Night Sorrow went to more places. Profound Mysteries Realm, Nether Realm, Western Nether Realm, Nonli Region, Unbounded Desolation Region, etc. Night Sorrow went to all of them. Finally, he went to Eastern Xian Region. Night Sorrow went to Saint Palace to take a look. Then, he went to Bamboo Garden City. Night Sorrow exclaimed after exiting Bamboo Garden City's teleportation array. Teleportation arrays are all-realm teleportation arrays. Not bad. We have no choice but to replace them. Due to the development of the 9 domains world, the world's surface area has expanded, so the distance between the cities has increased. The commander of the Tai Shu residence went to other worlds to purchase realm teleportation stones and replace the teleportation arrays of the 9 domains world, Yonglei said. Fortunately, when the 9 domains world was developing, it was more sentient, so the city didn't change. Otherwise, the buildings in the city would have been destroyed. Aoi said. When a world evolves, this won't happen. If a world can evolve, it means that the world's origin is sentient. Things like harming the creatures of the world won't happen, Night Sorrow explained to them. Night Sorrow and the others went directly to the old site of Bamboo Garden Village. Then they paid their respects to the 2 martyrs of the Yi clan who had lost their lives because of him. Then they had a drink with Yi Wuxia, who was guarding the place. Bamboo Garden Village was the place where Domain Lord Night Sorrow used to live. It was now a sacred place, the land of the Yi clan. Not only Yi Wuxia lived there, but many descendants of the Night Moon lived there as well. Outside Bamboo Garden City was the Great Wilderness. The Great Wilderness could be used for training. When not training, the descendants of the Yi clan would maintain order in Bamboo Garden City. In the 9 domains world, whether it was in Bamboo Garden City or other cities, the reputation of the Night Moon dynasty was very good. They fought for power and were very competitive. Such things wouldn't have a shadow of the Night Moon dynasty. No one would say that their surname was Yi on the streets. This was already the tradition of the Night Moon dynasty. Uncle, if there's nothing else, let's go out for a walk. The outside world is very big. There's the world of reincarnation, the celestial realm, and so on, Night Sorrow said to Yi Wuxia. Okay, after Night Moon's children are taken care of, we'll go to the celestial realm and see where the clan leader lives, Yi Wuxia said with a smile. Night Sorrow didn't go to the Medicine Valley again. He only looked around and found that everything was normal in the Medicine Valley, so he didn't go there. 13. Aren't we going to the Medicine Valley? Aoi asked. 6 senior sister, we won't go. Every time we go back, it's so troublesome that the senior brothers can't cultivate in peace, Night Sorrow said. Aoi nodded. She felt that Night Sorrow's words made sense. Night Sorrow was indeed troublesome when he went back. Because of his status, the Medicine Valley would definitely pay attention to Night Sorrow when he went back. The senior brothers would also welcome him warmly. However, this wasn't Night Sorrow's intention. After going around, Night Sorrow and his wives returned to the city in the sky. Night Sorrow stayed at home with his wives. His 2 doppelgangers were deducing the fusion of domains. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing had already gone out. The couple had been traveling around a lot these past few years. Are permanently exempt from paying E to C Yas for the 4 children, they were also traveling around. They were currently training in various parts of the Chaos Realm. During this time, Night Sorrow didn't allow them to go to the Celestial Realm. Naturally, they wouldn't go against Night Sorrow's wishes. At home, Night Sorrow wouldn't easily ask his children for anything. However, no matter what he said, his 4 children would respect it. The children understood Night Sorrow. Unless there was no other choice, Night Sorrow wouldn't speak harshly to them. In the eyes of Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun, Night Sorrow was their pride. This pride wasn't just because Night Sorrow was a realm lord. It was also because Night Sorrow had the tolerance and love that ordinary people didn't have. Perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, a realm lord's father was high and mighty. He might be endlessly dignified. In fact, in the eyes of Night Sorrow's children, their father was the easiest to interact with. He never spoke harshly to them. He had always taught them with his actions. After staying at home for a month, Night Sorrow was about to leave. His two doppelgangers had finished deducing the fusion of domains. He was going to get a title. Some things weren't needed by Night Sorrow. Some things were needed by the situation, development, the Humanitarian League, and the human race. Before Night Sorrow left, Xuexi wanted to say something, but she didn't. Datura and Lin Piaomiao followed Night Sorrow to the Misty Dynasty's Night Moon Villa. Sister Xuexi, is something wrong? Xikong Chuyu looked at Xuexi and asked. I feel like my body is giving birth to life, Xuexi said softly. Then why didn't you say so earlier? This is great news for our Night family. Xikong Chuyu said excitedly. Don't tell Night Sorrow yet. He has a lot of things to do now. It's safe for us to stay at home, Xuexi said. All right then. We'll give him a surprise when the time comes. Xikong Chuyu nodded. In the Night Moon Villa of the Celestial Realm's Misty Dynasty, Datura looked at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, Sister Xian Heir, I plan to go into seclusion. My situation is special. My original body can share with my doppelgangers and can deduce the situation of heaven and earth at the same time, Datura said after arriving at the Night Moon Villa. All right, my doppelgangers will accompany Night Sorrow to Tianhuang City. My original body will stay behind to deal with some things. Lin Piaomiao also made a decision. All right, let's go then. Let's see if I can still maintain my previous title. Night Sorrow was also looking forward to it. Chapter 1953. The Unsealed 1-inch. You used to have a title? What was it? Why didn't you mention it? Lin Piaomiao asked curiously. When I was in the Nine Regions world, I was given the immortal title by the Sealing Heaven Palace. The Nine Heavens Tower in the Nine Heavens world also recognized this title. Later on, because my cultivation level was high, I didn't go for the certification anymore, Night Sorrow said. Immortal. This is the second time I've heard about you. When you were exiled, the mayor of the Tianhuang city said that you had the potential to be immortal, Lin Piaomiao said. That was before. Now we have to see if the Tianhuang Tower recognizes it. The Nine Regions world and the Nine Heavens world both have their own world origin and consciousness. Is it the same in the celestial realm? Night Sorrow asked. I don't know. Last time I went for the certification, I went in and after a while, I defeated 2 energy clones. The Tianhuang Tower gave me the title of War Emperor. I thought it was too big to just call me War Emperor, so I asked them to add Piaomiao. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the celestial realm must have its own world origin. As for whether it would show up or not, it was hard to say. The two took the teleportation formation to the Tianhuang city, and went back to the Night Moon Villa first. You've been gone for a month. You two are really carefree. Work hard. When will you make a little yi? Pu Luo said. I'm working on it. Night Sorrow smiled and sat down. Lin Piaomiao, who was about to fight back, was discouraged. Night Sorrow had already said so. How could she refute him? It's difficult for an emperor to have a descendant. But once he has a descendant, he will be very talented. Don't worry. As long as you two have a child, I'll give you a big gift. I'm sure you'll be satisfied, Pu Luo said with a smile. How about the Tian Luo fist? Lin Piaomiao looked at Pu Luo and asked. Lin Piaomiao, when did you become so cruel? Tian Luo fist, right? Why not? Pu Luo looked at Lin Piaomiao with disdain, but he didn't refuse. You guys are just here to watch the show. When the time comes, bring out everything you need, Lin Piaomiao said as she looked at Yu Zhu, the Great Demon King, and Ruisi. Give it to me. It's not impossible, but you have to be able to do it first. The Great Demon King retorted. It was hard for Lin Piaomiao to answer whether she could do it. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow said that he had completed the evolution of his domain. Next, he would be going through the certification process. You're the leader of our humanitarian league. Perform well and get yourself a more domineering title, Reese said. You have the body of merit, the Merit Emperor, and the perfect supreme attribute. Your title should be enough to shock the crowd. Yu Zhu was also looking forward to it. All right, I'll try my best not to disappoint everyone. I'm going to sleep. Knight Sorrow nodded and headed straight for the main attic at the back of the mansion. Sleep. Pu Luo was stunned for a moment. The word, sleep, almost never appeared in the world of high-level cultivators. Who needed to sleep? He's probably tired. He's either been exiled or went to the reincarnation battlefield. After the epiphany, he has to deduce the domain. It's not easy, Lin Piaomiao said. Knight Sorrow really slept through the night. After he woke up, he took a shower and changed into a new robe. He carried the samsara halberd and went to the main hall of the mansion. The others were already waiting there. Is your clone here? Pu Luo asked. Although you can't use your clone during the certification process, your clone can merge with your original body. At least you'll have an advantage in resisting pressure. Knight Sorrow nodded. His battle clone was indeed in his body. Soon after, the group arrived at the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Yi Shang told the guards at the entrance that he wanted to be recognized as a titled warrior. Before the guard could say anything, the mayor appeared. Are you ready for the certification process? The mayor asked. Yes, I'm ready. After the certification process, I'll invite you for tea. I didn't fulfill my promise last time when I came back from the reincarnation battlefield, Knight Sorrow said. I should be the one treating you. But you're the owner of the Twilight Tea House. It doesn't matter who the host is. Let's go in when you're ready. I'm looking forward to your certification process. Then the mayor led Knight Sorrow into the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The certification process here is different from that in other worlds. Some world origins have special ways of showing up. The Heaven Wasteland Tower is a magic treasure. But the origin of the celestial realm will show up through the Heaven Wasteland Tower and give some titles. The mayor explained to Knight Sorrow about the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew a little about the Heaven Wasteland Tower, but he felt a little strange. The mayor was famous for his great prophecy skill, which could predict some things. The great prophecy skill is not omnipotent. It can't be predicted when it involves the power of destiny. The great prophecy skill also has negative effects. It can't be used casually. Besides, it's better to leave some suspense. The mayor seemed to have guessed Knight Sorrow's thoughts and said, Knight Sorrow is overthinking. Knight Sorrow smiled embarrassedly. The mayor didn't say anything else. He led Knight Sorrow to the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Pointing at the door on the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, the mayor explained to Yi Shang some things about the Heaven Wasteland Tower. First of all, the Heaven Realm's origin energy would test the body of the person who was certified as a titled warrior. Then, according to the test, they would be given different levels of difficulty. If they passed, they would receive the corresponding titled warrior. The more difficult the test, the more heaven-defying the titled warrior would be. Some are battles, some are pressure tests. Everyone's situation is different. Go in. The mayor pointed at the door on the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at the mayor, who was also Tran Hung. He tightened the reincarnation heavenly halberd on his back and stepped into the door of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Knight Sorrow wasn't nervous. Instead, he was excited. He didn't think that he would fail. The tests given by the Heaven Wasteland Tower all corresponded to one's rank. Low-level Emperor rank would be the test for low-level Emperor rank. Conversely, if one was a peak Emperor rank, the test would be the test for peak Emperor rank. Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid of any opponent of the same rank. Coming from a test of the same rank, Knight Sorrow was confident. After entering the space on the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Knight Sorrow realized that the space wasn't very big. It was only a few hundred meters wide and there was a golden praying mat in the middle. Knight Sorrow suddenly felt a wave of consciousness that told him to sit on the praying mat. He knew that this was the guidance of the celestial realm's origin. Cupping his hands at the void, Knight Sorrow sat on the golden praying mat. Then, the golden praying mat emitted a blinding light that seeped into Knight Sorrow's body. This was the celestial realm's origins test for the certified titled person's body. After thinking for a moment, Knight Sorrow stopped the leakless true body that had been operating in his body, and allowed the golden light to enter his body. As Knight Sorrow's leakless true body stopped operating, the golden light emitted by the praying mat entered Knight Sorrow's body. Speak. Chapter 1954. After the golden light entered his body, Knight Sorrow felt that his chi, blood, and energy were running more smoothly. He knew that the origin of the world would not harm the body of Merit, let alone the fact that he was the Merit Emperor. Therefore, he accepted the test of the golden light. As the golden light ran in his body, Knight Sorrow's body shook a few minutes later. He realized that he was no longer the Merit Emperor, but the Merit Emperor. His chi, blood, and energy more or less absorbed the golden light and broke through the critical point of the Merit Emperor. Knight Sorrow felt a joyful emotion that enveloped him. It was the emotion of the origin of the world. Yishang was also very happy. Merit cultivation was not easy to come by. Naturally, it was very difficult to increase his merit cultivation. After his trip to the reincarnation battlefield, his merit power had increased by quite a bit. It was just that he had not reached the critical point of becoming a Merit Emperor. But now, he had passed the critical point. Knight Sorrow closed his eyes and accepted the test of the golden light. At the same time, he felt the situation of his merit power. Knight Sorrow did not know that golden lotuses had appeared in the sky above the Heaven Wasteland Tower again. To be exact, they were not lotuses, but lotus platforms. The lotus platforms carried the blooming golden lotuses and floated toward the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. It was extremely beautiful. This situation naturally alarmed everyone in the city. There could only be one reason why the sky was filled with golden lotuses. The cultivator of the merit body had made a new achievement. City Lord, is this the advancement of the Merit Emperor? Pu Luo asked the City Lord, who was looking up at the sky. Yes. Without our knowledge, Knight Sorrow has accumulated a lot of merit for the human race and the 100 races of the celestial realm. The City Lord nodded. What we can see is glory, but how many of us can see the hardships and bitterness behind this glory? The scene of us coming back from Heaven Wasteland with bloody footprints is something that I can never forget, the Great Elder said in a low voice. At this moment, a huge black lotus platform with flames appeared in the sky above the golden lotus and pressed toward it. Black Lotus of Destruction. How can this be? The mayor, the Grand Elder, and the others were shocked and even frightened. Pu Luo's expression also changed. The Great Demon King, Lin Piaomiao, and the others knew that the situation was serious, but they didn't understand what was going on. Pu Luo, what's going on? Reese asked. In this world, there is yin and yang, black and white, and there is good and evil. The golden lotus of merit corresponds to the black lotus of destruction. Its appearance is to obliterate merit. Pu Luo's eyes were fixed on the black lotus of destruction. At this time, countless virtuous golden lotuses spun, resisting the black lotus of destruction. Hold on, you must hold on. The Grand Elder's beard was trembling because this was his second time seeing the black lotus of destruction. The virtuous golden lotus and the black lotus of destruction continued to clash, but the virtuous golden lotus was at a disadvantage. In the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Knight Sorrow felt uneasy and felt a sense of danger. He couldn't help but shake his body, and his energy began to circulate. As Knight Sorrow's aura increased, a whirlpool appeared above his head. The whirlpool absorbed his merit power and virtuous golden light. He also saw the battle between the virtuous golden lotus and the black lotus in the sky through the whirlpool. Need, desire. This was the feeling that the virtuous golden lotus gave Knight Sorrow. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio Translator. Nyoibo Studio Editor. Nyoibo Studio. At this time, Knight Sorrow had already forgotten about the certification title. The heavenly way merit was not to be blasphemed. Knight Sorrow was angry. The blood Kirin evil slaying spear that his doppelganger held appeared in his hand. The merit power gathered and poured into the spear. Then, he waved his right arm violently and the blood Kirin evil slaying spear flew out of the whirlpool. The onlookers saw a golden red spear appear at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and shoot directly toward the Black Lotus of Destruction. Hold on. The Grand Elder clenched his right hand, and his 5 fingers sank into the shaft of his golden coiling dragon spear. Knight Sorrow's merit is not only a peaceful body of merit, but also a crushing and powerful side. It should be the murderous aura of the human path dragon. The Lord of Heaven Wasteland City put his hand on the Grand Elder's shoulder and said, "The Black Lotus of Destruction has already destroyed one of our human sovereigns. Now it's coming again. Is it endless?" The Grand Elder's beard and hair stood up. It was obvious that he was very emotional. Lin Piao Miao and the others all looked at the Grand Elder. At the end of the last reincarnation cycle, the human sovereign went through the God-destroying tribulation and the Black Lotus of Destruction appeared. The Grand Elder and I saw the Black Lotus of Destruction destroy the human sovereign's body of merit with our own eyes. But don't worry, it's different this time. Night Sorrow is the rising sun. His aura is strong, the Lord of Heaven Wasteland City said to Lin Piao Miao and the others. The Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear spun and kept attacking the Black Lotus of Destruction. The golden lotuses in the sky also spun around the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear, constantly strengthening the spear. This was a battle between good and evil. One side wanted to rise, and the other side wanted to be destroyed. The battle was in a stalemate at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Night Sorrow controlled the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear and kept attacking the Black Lotus of Destruction. Night Sorrow felt that this could not go on. Controlling the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear consumed a lot of his soul power. He could not bear it. But Night Sorrow knew that he had to fight. He knew that this was his destiny. If he could not bear it, neither his original body nor his doppelganger would be spared. Persevere. The Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear and the Black Lotus of Destruction were still in a stalemate. The stalemate lasted for 15 minutes. Yi Shang felt that if this continued, he and the virtuous Golden Lotus would lose without a doubt. He had to fight. No matter how terrifying the Black Lotus with its black flames was, he had to face it. If the tribulation came, he had to face it bravely. Night Sorrow's body followed the whirlpool and rushed out of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Night Sorrow, go back. Inside the Heaven Wasteland Tower, even if you can't beat it, you can still stay alive. The Heaven Wasteland City Lord shouted at Night Sorrow. Since I'm here, I can't hide. If God wants to kill me, I'll kill God. If Heaven wants to destroy me, I'll fight Heaven. Night Sorrow pulled out the Samsara halberd from his back. That's the Samsara Nirvana flame. You can't handle it. The Grand Elder flew into the sky. His heart was filled with fear. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would die. Bas! An invisible light wave appeared and shook the Grand Elder, causing him to spit out blood and fall to the ground. Night Sorrow, go back. The Grand Elder's white beard was covered in blood. Heaven Wasteland Palm. Night Sorrow threw out a palm and then rushed toward the Black Lotus of Destruction. At the same time, he poured all his power of virtue into the Samsara halberd and stabbed toward the Black Lotus of Destruction. Under the control of the Desolation Nirvana palm, Yi Shang's Samsara halberd pierced the Black Lotus of Destruction. The Black Lotus of Destruction was shaken to the point that it was constantly fluctuating and contracting. It seemed like it could break at any moment. At this time, the Desolation Tower emitted a beam of energy. It was a dragon claw. The dragon claw slammed directly onto the Black Lotus of Destruction, shattering it. Chapter 1955. At this moment, Night Sorrow could not feel the energy in his body. The pain continued to erode his body. He turned to look at Lin Piao Miao with a reluctant smile on his face. He could feel his life force slipping away. The people from the Humanitarian League kept attacking Night Sorrow. However, the barrier created by the tribulation was still there. They could not break through. Even if they were bleeding, they could not break through. The dragon claw created by the Heaven Wasteland Tower collected all the golden lotuses in the sky and Night Sorrow's blood-chilling evil-slaying spear. Then, it took Night Sorrow's body and disappeared from the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The Samsara halberd fell and stabbed into the ground, making a loud noise. Everything disappeared. There was nothing to prove that the virtuous Lotus platform and the Black Lotus of Destruction were here. The City Lord rushed into the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He was anxious to know Night Sorrow's situation because Night Sorrow was the human emperor that had not been announced. The group of people reached the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. However, the top floor was sealed. The City Lord tried several times but could not open it. Elder Lin, go check on Night Sorrow's clone in the world. Hurry! The Grand Elder was more anxious. GK looks at N original chapter. Lin Piaomiao's original body arrived at the Nine Regions world. She saw Night Sorrow lying in front of the Heaven Sealing Palace. Beside him was Tai Shu Yen, who was shouting nervously. He was alive. However, there was no energy fluctuation in his body. It was as if he was asleep. When Lin Piaomiao was about to check, energy appeared in the Heaven Sealing Palace and swept Night Sorrow's body away. Looking at the empty space, Lin Piaomiao felt scared. She did not know what was going on. Night Sorrow's original body was in trouble. How could his clone fall as well? Lin Piaomiao's clone told the city lord and the grand elder about the current situation. She was very worried. He is not dead. His original body is protected by the Heaven Wasteland Tower. His clone is also protected by the Nine Regions world's origin. If he is dead, there is no need to protect him anymore, the city lord said. But what's his situation? Pu Luo was very anxious. There's no need to worry as long as he's not dead. When we see him again, no matter how badly wounded he is, he'll recover even if we have to use all the power of the celestial realm, said the mayor. After sending everyone away, the city lord, the great elder and King Yiwu, who had rushed over after hearing the news, all went to Yi Shang's residence. Then, the mayor told those who didn't know the cause of today's incident. Tian Huang originally belonged to the Celestial Realm, which was the name given by the Demon Wing clan after they occupied it. The Demon Wings clan came from the Heaven Wasteland domain, also known as Heaven Wasteland. Heaven Wasteland and the Celestial Realm were both supreme worlds, but that world was very cruel and evil. The origin source was the origin source of destruction. After merging with the Heavenly Tao, it would produce the Black Lotus of Destruction, which would kill outstanding cultivators who did not conform to the ideals of the Heaven Wasteland domain. At the end of the last reincarnation, when the human emperor of the Celestial Realm was going through the divine destroying tribulation, the Black Lotus of Destruction appeared and destroyed the human emperor's body of merit, causing the human emperor to fail the divine destroying tribulation. We didn't expect Yi Shang's body of virtue to break through to the virtuous emperor realm. His virtuous power is on the same level as the human emperor of the previous reincarnation, said the city lord. I just checked. Night Sorrow's soul mark in the Samsara halberd is very stable. His life won't be in danger for the time being, King Yiwu said with a cold face and a heavy heart. Star Moon City must be guarded. There can't be any mistakes. Everything else needs to be stabilized first, said the mayor. The rumor that Night Sorrow, the Emperor of Merit, was punished by the Heavenly Tao had spread in the Celestial Realm, which made King Yiwu very angry. He directly ordered the law enforcement team of the Divine Capital to patrol the Celestial Realm and kill anyone who talked about Night Sorrow. As time went by, everything became quiet. The Samsara halberd erected in front of the Everlasting Tower proved that Night Sorrow had been there. The First Army was still the First Army without a captain. They trained hard. Every once in a while, Zhuodong would lead the sergeants of the First Army to the gate facing the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. What were they doing? They looked at the bloody footprints that were still very clear. Night Sorrow was the body of merit and his blood was the blood of merit. Even though the Nirvana tide was coming, the bloody footprints were still there. Sister Lingling, go and look for it again. I want to see the video of our captain killing the 5 emperors in the Imperial Realm. Bai Xiaoyu looked at Bai Lingling and said, the Council of Elders has taken back all the memory crystal balls. Even if there are, you can't watch them. You can't do anything that will affect Captain, Zhuodong said as he glared at Bai Xiaoyu. Vice Captain, how many years has it been? When will our captain come back? Will he never come back? Bai Xiaoyu asked. Shut up. Bai Lingling scolded Bai Xiaoyu angrily. She had seen Yi Shang fight in the Second Army and went to the reincarnation battlefield with him. Although it was only a short time, she admired Yi Shang and would not allow Bai Xiaoyu to say anything disrespectful. Bai Xiaoyu, this is the first and last time. I will kill anyone who disrespects my 13th brother. Tianyu's eyes were full of ferocity. Sorry. He is not sensible. Bai Mengmeng apologized for Bai Xiaoyu. In the Nine Regions world, snowflakes were falling. Xue Shi and a young man in white were standing in front of the Danding Cliff in the Medicine Valley, looking at the statue of Night Sorrow. Why are you not coming back? Your child has grown up. Xue Shi couldn't stop her tears from flowing down her cheeks. It had been a few hundred years. No one in the Nine Regions world had seen Night Sorrow again. The region lord, Night Sorrow, was a legend. A legend that no one had seen in a few hundred years. Mother, father will come back. The formations of the city in the sky and the 9 regions world have always been in a protective state. Only father can control them. The young man in white said. The young man in white was Yi Lingxi, Night Sorrow's youngest son. He was now the king. Yes, your father just fell asleep in the Heaven Wasteland Tower and the Heaven Ceiling Palace. He was too tired all those years. Xueshi wiped the corners of her eyes. The lack of news of Night Sorrow was a big blow to the Yi clan. The city in the sky was no longer full of smiles. Night Sorrow's children were all following their father's path. The most successful one had become an emperor 100 years ago. Aunt, I went to the city in the Heaven Wasteland. Father's divine weapon is still glowing. It's much stronger than before. It means that my father's condition has improved. A young man in black appeared. He was Night Sorrow's 4th child, Yi Xiaoluo, the 2nd emperor of the Yi clan. Yes, have you seen your mother? Xueshi asked Yi Xiaoluo. Yes. Yi Xiaoluo nodded. She still doesn't want to come back? Xueshi asked. Yes, she doesn't want to come back. Maybe she's afraid of seeing the people and things of the past. Yi Xiaoluo sighed. After Night Sorrow's accident, Datura's original body and clone went to the evil Punisher land. They didn't want to go anywhere, nor did they want to return to the city in the sky. 4th brother, I want to join the god-slaying team, but Uncle Long won't accept me. Yi Lingxi said. Let's wait until father comes back. Uncle Long and uncle, you only believe father. It's useless for me to say anything. Yi Xiaoluo shook his head. Chapter 1956. Zhang Ziwen unsealed. Other than pain and tiredness, Night Sorrow couldn't feel anything. He couldn't remember how many days and nights he had spent in the darkness. He wanted to rush out, but he couldn't. Night Sorrow didn't even know where the pain came from. He couldn't feel his body as he sank into the endless darkness. The new 8A is the fastest RT on VR Cool Craftsman Network, R. The darkness was filled with violent storms, which contained the extreme power of reincarnation. Night Sorrow didn't know what it was. He had sunk into endless depravity. Unknowingly, he had even grasped the general trend of reincarnation. However, he still couldn't leave this dark space. Night Sorrow struggled in the dark storm every day and could be obliterated by it at any time. Night Sorrow did not know if he could walk out of this place, but he had to persevere. He did not even know why he was persevering. He just wanted to walk out of this place. He felt that he had many things to do. Night Sorrow felt that this was the wrong path. If he didn't deal with the storm of darkness, he wouldn't be able to leave. Perhaps the correct path was to strengthen himself and destroy the storm. No longer moving forward, Night Sorrow absorbed the specks of light in the black storm to strengthen himself. At this moment, an energy body appeared on the top floor of the Tianhuang City Master's training space. World Origin. Greetings. Universe Master. The City Master of Heavenly Wasteland City cupped his hands at the energy body. I'm sure you're all very worried about that young man. I'm here today to tell you that he's been living in a muddle-headed state between life and death for hundreds of years. Now that he's understood his own path, what's next is a true recovery period. I estimate that he'll wake up in a period of time. What I need now is a type of God Soul Grass. The God Soul Grass is under the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. It's not convenient for me to get it. Find a way to send it to me. The Heaven Realm's origin body said to the Heavenly Desolate City Lord and then disappeared. I'll definitely get the Divine Soul Grass. The mayor pressed his hand, and the table before him was crushed into powder. It had been more than 700 years. This was the best news that the mayor had received in the past 700 years. Locating the soul grasses with the Great Prophecy technique, the mayor opened the star array of the city. The operation of the Great Star Formation caused a great disturbance. The Grand Elder, Pu Luo and the others all came to the side of the City Master. City Lord, what do you want? Pu Luo asked in confusion. God Soul Grass. I need God Soul Grass now. With that, the City Lord flew out of the city and followed the Nirvana Oceanic Bridge for hundreds of thousands of miles. He was about to reach Infinite Desolate. The mayor finally stopped. He waved his right hand and grabbed a section of the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. The bridge was broken, and the seawater was blown away. A glowing herb that was half a foot tall fell into the mayor's hand. Then, they returned to the Heavenly Wasteland City and went to the Heavenly Wasteland Tower, where the city master was cultivating. The original body of the celestial realm appeared and took away the soul grass. Universe Master, how long will it take for Night Sorrow to wake up? The Grand Elder asked. Within a year. But when he wakes up, he might not have any memory. He'll have to wait for his other doppelganger to wake up. Fortunately, he has the origin bead. His soul was shattered, but it didn't dissipate, the original body of the celestial realm said. It's good that he's alive. It doesn't matter even if his cultivation is destroyed. Reese was relieved. His cultivation is destroyed? Even if you destroy it, he won't. This is a good thing for him. He should have comprehended the general trend of samsara. The reason why he's alive is that he has forbidden energy as a foundation. The original body of the celestial realm then explained Night Sorrow's situation. After the samsara nirvana fire entered his body, all the energy in Night Sorrow's body gathered together to resist the samsara nirvana fire. Under such circumstances, the elements of destruction, time, space, death, and life temporarily combined to resist the samsara nirvana fire. Although it was weak, only a few strands of the samsara nirvana fire entered Night Sorrow's body. It was a fire without energy, so it couldn't destroy the energy in Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow's soul was severely injured, but because of the 9-region origin bead's defense in his spirit sea, his soul was shattered, but the fragments were not lost. He just needed time to reform them. He touched the forbidden energy. If he recovers, won't he have to go through the God-destroying trial? The Grand Elder was worried. That's what you think. He's not even an era old. The Emperor trial and Emperor trial won't appear. The God-destroying trial won't come directly. The original body of the celestial realm then disappeared. Pu Luo, hurry up and inform Elder Lin and Night Sorrow's family, the Grand Elder said to Pu Luo. Pu Luo didn't even answer. He ran directly to the teleportation formation. These years, the Humanitarian League's people still kept in touch, but without Night Sorrow, the Humanitarian League's development had stagnated. Lin Piaomiao only came to Tianhuang City occasionally. She didn't ask about the Humanitarian League. Pu Luo and the Demon King just maintained the current situation. In the Misty Dynasty's Night Moon Villa, Pu Luo saw Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao's face was cold. She had been like this all these years. Pu Luo, you're here. I'm sorry I haven't been in a good mood these years. Lin Piaomiao invited Pu Luo to sit. What are you sorry for? I'm here to tell you the good news. The original body of the celestial realm has appeared. The City Master has also obtained the treasure that Night Sorrow needs to recover. Night Sorrow will wake up in a year, Pu Luo said excitedly. Really? Lin Piaomiao's face was full of surprise. She had been waiting for Night Sorrow to wake up, but she always felt that it was just wishful thinking. These years, Lin Piaomiao had been increasing her power like crazy. She had passed the trial of 2 kings, so she understood reincarnation energy and the power of reincarnation nirvana fire. Yes. The Grand Elder asked me to inform you and Night Sorrow's family that he will appear in a year, Pu Luo said. We can be together again. We can be like before. Lin Piaomiao wiped the corners of her eyes. 1 year is the time given by the celestial realm. But you have to be prepared. Night Sorrow's soul may be blank after he recovers. After all, his soul was damaged and his memory is incomplete. He can only wait until he recovers or his other body wakes up to restore his memory. I don't know the rest, Pu Luo said. It doesn't matter if he loses his memory. Without his memory, he will lose his cultivation, forget his battle skills, and forget how to fight. As long as he's alive, that's enough. Lin Piaomiao's eyes were full of determination. No, he definitely won't. I thought so too at first. But the celestial realm said that even if I'm destroyed, Night Sorrow won't be destroyed. And this time, he will make great progress. He may already have forbidden energy. Pu Luo was a little embarrassed because he thought the same as Lin Piaomiao at first. But he was reprimanded by the celestial realm's origin. Search Cool Craftsman on WeChat. Follow the name of the new work, and read the full text. Say. Chapter 1957. Zhang Ziwen unsealed Lin Piaomiao asked someone to receive Pu Luo and she came to the Yellow Springs River. For 700 years, Mandala's original body and avatar had never left the Yellow Springs of evil punishing land. When Lin Piaomiao arrived, the Yellow Springs River parted and Datura appeared. Sister Xianer is here. Datura greeted Lin Piaomiao. Stop cultivating. There's news about Night Sorrow. You should go back. Lin Piaomiao said. You went to Sky Desolate City? Datura asked. No, it's a notice from Sky Desolate City. Pu Luo received orders from the Grand Elder to inform us that Night Sorrow will wake up within a year. I'm not sure about the details. I came to find you to check out the situation. If there's really hope, we'll inform the family. Lin Piaomiao said. Okay, let's go together. Datura nodded. She knew that even if Lin Piaomiao wanted her to leave Evil Punisher, she wouldn't use Night Sorrow's matter to lie to her. Lin Piaomiao and Datura arrived at Sky Desolate City. First, they went to Sky Desolate Tower to check on Night Sorrow's reincarnation halberd. Currently, checking on Night Sorrow's reincarnation halberd was the most effective way to determine his condition. The reincarnation halberd flashed and dimmed. The fluctuations were huge. The situation is much better than before. Although the soul imprint was firm, it didn't have such a huge fluctuation. Lin Piaomiao said and brought Datura to see the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder explained the situation to Lin Piaomiao and Datura. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, 700 years. It's been 700 years since his accident. Lin Piaomiao's voice was choked with emotions. It's my fault. I asked him to accept the certification. That's why this happened. The Grand Elder said apologetically. It's not the Grand Elder's fault. It's Night Sorrow's tribulation. As long as he's fine, everything is fine. Lin Piaomiao said. Now, we just have to wait and tell Yishang's parents the news. Not hearing from their child for 700 years is a huge blow to them. Also, his children are still young. It's hard for them to accept that something has happened to their father, said the Great Elder. He knew that Yishang was the pillar of the Yi clan, the pillar of the 9 domains world. The children are doing fine. Although the youngest one has never seen his father, he is already a sovereign king. The fourth one is Aluo's child. He became an emperor 100 years ago. Lin Piaomiao said. To go. And in Lin S was. Father can wake up in a year and come back? Yi Xiaoluo asked excitedly. He can wake up, but I don't know if he can come back. Go to Night Moon and inform your grandparents. Datura said to Yi Xiaoluo. Datura was worried because Night Sorrow didn't have any memories. He didn't know if he could recognize his family. Night Sorrow didn't know some things, but he knew that the path to becoming stronger was right. He didn't have any memories, but that didn't mean he didn't have any consciousness or thoughts. Night Sorrow felt that the dots of energy in this dark space originally belonged to him, as if they were something he had lost. Recovering, absorbing, and refining. That was Night Sorrow's path. In the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Night Sorrow was lying down. But the energy in his body kept surging. Especially the spirit sea in his head. It kept flashing. The space was filled with energy. The energy had a light blue halo. The Yi family knew that Night Sorrow was fine and would wake up soon. This made the city in the sky boil. It had been suppressed for too long. 700 years. Before Night Sorrow's accident, he was only 200 years old. In the past 700 years, the 9 regions world didn't develop. Everything was the same as before. Because of safety concerns, Lin Piaomiao didn't let everyone leave the 9 regions world. The celestial realm was full of danger now. It had been 700 years. No one knew how much Mo Tianji had recovered. In the 700 years under time acceleration, no one could define Mo Tianji's realm. Just like how many kings appeared in the 9 regions world, Mo Tianji and the new generation of cultivators in the 9 regions world needed time. Lin Piaomiao and Datura went to Night Sorrow's residence in the Heaven Wasteland City. Every day, they would walk in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower to check on the Samsara halberd. Night Sorrow had been absorbing the specks of light in the darkness, as well as the faint blue light, to strengthen himself. He didn't know that the dark space was his divine sea, the black storm was the storm caused by the fire of samsara nirvana, the stars were his broken soul pieces, and the light blue light was the energy of the god's soul grass brought by the mayor. While absorbing the stars to strengthen himself, Knight Sorrow continued to study the storm formed by the samsara nirvana flame. As he studied, Knight Sorrow found that he could easily avoid the storm. He could even control it. Knight Sorrow didn't know that he had mastered the samsara world. He just thought it was simple. Time passed in this monotonous manner. However, compared to Yi Shang, his days were much better than before. That kind of pain and tiredness had all disappeared. Knight Sorrow's soul was recovering quickly. When the stars in the space were absorbed by Knight Sorrow to a certain extent, Knight Sorrow understood. He knew that this was his spirit sea and it was absorbing his soul fragments. He also knew the situation outside. Knight Sorrow tried to move his body. He felt a little rusty. He hadn't controlled his body for 700 years. Naturally, his body was rusty. But Knight Sorrow didn't know this. He didn't even know who he was. Knight Sorrow felt that he had a lot of things to do. But he just couldn't remember. Thinking too much made his head hurt. With self-awareness, Knight Sorrow's refining speed increased. Not only did he refine the stars and the soul fragments, but he also refined the dark storm. He wanted to purify his spirit sea. Pu Luo came to the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He wanted to use the Samsara halberd to check on Knight Sorrow's situation. Pu Luo probed with his soul power, and a wave of fluctuation appeared, knocking him back as he was caught off guard. Self-defense. The weapon can defend itself? Pu Luo's face was full of surprise. This was because Knight Sorrow's soul power had recovered to a certain extent. This meant that Knight Sorrow could wake up at any time. At the top floor of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Knight Sorrow opened his eyes and then closed them again. Just now, he felt that someone had touched his things. It made him very uncomfortable. Pu Luo ran to Knight Sorrow's mansion and told Lin Piaomiao and Datura about the changes in the Samsara halberd. The weapon can defend itself. That means it has a consciousness. Is he awake? The Grand Elder who was accompanying Lin Piaomiao stood up. Then a group of people went to the Heaven Wasteland Tower to see Knight Sorrow's Samsara halberd. In the Heaven Wasteland Tower, Knight Sorrow frowned. He felt very uncomfortable. He felt that something was spying on him. He immediately stood up. Search Cool Craftsman Net on WeChat. Follow the name of the new work and read the full text. Say. Chapter 1958. After standing up, Knight Sorrow stretched his body and put the blood Qilin evil vanquishing spear into the holster on his back. Then, he opened the door to the sealed space and walked out. Knight Sorrow flashed out of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and arrived in front of the Samsara halberd. He knew that this was the item that belonged to him. He stretched out his right arm and the Samsara halberd fell into his hand. Knight Sorrow. Seeing Knight Sorrow, Ruisi was very excited. He reached out and patted Knight Sorrow's shoulder. But at that moment, Knight Sorrow's body flickered as if he hadn't moved at all. He put some distance between himself and Reese. Then, the Samsara halberd's energy surged. He looked at Reese with two electric lights in his eyes. Alliance Master. I'm Ruisi. I'm Ruisi. Ruisi was stunned. I don't know you. Knight Sorrow turned and walked away without looking at anyone else. Knight Sorrow, do you know me? Lin Piaomiao flashed and landed in front of Knight Sorrow. You are very familiar, but I don't know you. I can't remember. Knight Sorrow rubbed his head. He clearly felt that Lin Piaomiao was very familiar, but he just couldn't remember. I'm your wife, Lin Piaomiao. We've been married for a long time. Let's go home, okay? Tears welled up in Lin Piaomiao's eyes. Yi Shan's robes were torn and his hair was disheveled. Because he had been burned by the Nirvana flame, his boots were gone, just like when he had returned from Heaven Wasteland. Knight Sorrow reached out to wipe Lin Piaomiao's tears, but his hands stopped in the air. I think I've been like this before, but I don't remember. Sorry. Come home with us. Datura stood up. Knight Sorrow looked at Datura, who was blocking the way and hit his forehead with his left hand. You've slept for 700 years. Our child is already an emperor. Today, I'm taking you home. If you don't come with me, You can attack me. You can kill me. Dachira reached out and placed the Samsara halberd in front of his chest. Because of the familiar feeling, how could Knight Sorrow attack? Grand Elder, call the fortune teller here. Give him some impressions so that he can come home with us. Lin Piao shouted to the Grand Elder because this was a better idea. It's time. The fortune teller started the divination. The Grand Elder called the fortune teller and then used Knight as a medium, and began the divination. As the divination began, with Knight Sorrow as a medium, the divination began, and the images began to rewind. 700 years had passed, returning to the time before Knight Sorrow's accident, when Knight Sorrow had returned home. Knight Sorrow, this is divination. It can't be faked. Everyone at home is waiting for you to return, Dachira said as he pulled on Knight Sorrow's sleeve. My name is Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow murmured. He felt that the scene was very familiar. It should be a part of his memory. Elder Lin, Dachira, take Knight Sorrow back to recuperate. Don't force him to remember anything. The soul of the Nine Realms doppelganger was shocked, but it wasn't broken. When his doppelganger wakes up, it will be time for him to recover. You see, he slept for 700 years, but his cultivation didn't fall behind. The mayor walked over from the teleportation array. Okay, if we can wait for him for 700 years, we can continue waiting for his doppelganger to wake up. Lin Piao nodded. Elder Lin, we won't go. He doesn't want to touch too many things now. It's not good to annoy him. When he recovers his memories, I'll hold a banquet to celebrate, Wuxia said. Wuxia, I apologize on behalf of Knight Sorrow. He doesn't remember, he doesn't hate you. Lin Piao apologized for Knight Sorrow dodging Wuxia's hand and taking out his weapon. We're brothers. Why would we care about that? Wuxia shook his head. Lin Piao and Dachira left Sky City with Knight Sorrow and walked towards the teleportation array. I don't want to see too many people. Can you find me a quiet place? Knight Sorrow said to Lin Piao. Sure. We'll go to your favorite city in the sky. Then, we'll take a boat to the lake to recuperate. You don't have to think about recovering. You heard it just now. You have a doppelganger in a deep sleep. When that doppelganger wakes up, he'll remember everything, Lin Piao said. I'm sorry. I know what you said is true. But I don't remember anything. Knight Sorrow pointed at his head and said helplessly. In the Night Moon Villa in Ethereal Imperial City, Lin Piao and Dachira helped Knight Sorrow clean up. Dachira's doppelganger first returned to the Nine Regions world and greeted his family. Because Knight Sorrow had lost his memories, he rejected everything. Even if he was recognized by divination, his emotions were still blank. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back safely. Yu Qing's eyes were filled with tears. She was a little emotional. Her son was her pride. After not seeing him for hundreds of years, her world had collapsed. It's been hard on everyone. But if we let him come into contact with too many things now, he'll be a burden. You can talk to him when the time is right. Lingxi, I'll find a chance to bring you to meet your father alone. Dachira patted Yi Lingxi's shoulder. Yi Lingxi was different from the others. He had no recollection of Knight Sorrow at all. Thank you, Anta Luo. Yi Lingxi bowed. In these 700 years, Dachira had not returned. But he had gone to visit him a few times. So, he had some feelings for him. Father, mother, after Knight Sorrow returns, Sister Xian and I want him to spend more time in the lake. His favorite place is the lake. Also, he likes to go to the bamboo forest peak in the Medicine Valley. Dachira said to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. All right, you can make the arrangements. It's been hard on you all these years. Home is a safe place at all times. It's not a place of sadness. Your mother and I have always wanted to bring you back. But in consideration of your cultivation, we didn't disturb you. Yi Wuyo said to Dachira. Thank you, father, for your understanding. I understand. Dachira was a little embarrassed. Then, Lin Piao and Dachira's original body brought Knight Sorrow back to the city in the sky. They brought Knight Sorrow directly to the lake. This doesn't seem too good. Although I don't remember, there's no reason for me to not visit my parents after returning home. It would be harmful to the two of them. Knight Sorrow did not look at the wooden boat in the city in the sky. Instead, he looked in the direction of the mansion. But aren't you not used to it now? Lin Piao said. I am not used to it, and I can't hurt others. Moreover, I can confirm that they are my parents. Knight Sorrow finished speaking and walked towards the mansion. Lin Piao and Mandela followed. They understood that even without his memories, Yishan still had his own way of looking at things. He had his own standards. After entering the mansion, Knight Sorrow bowed to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing. I'm sorry for making father and mother worry. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Yu Qing helped her son up. At Original V Premiere E7, you're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.